Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise.
I have a real soft spot for evil.
Blood flying everywhere.
So good.
I'm a big boy who doesn't get scared.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Salutations, Underground Club members, and welcome to a brand new meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Tonight, we gather to discuss 1985's Day of the Dead. My name is Brian. I'm joined by my beautiful co-occupants of the podcast. That would be Ross. There it is. And Sam.
Sup?
Thank you so much for being here, both of you. I appreciate your best zombie noises.
I tried.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are not zombies. It's all an act. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Ross and Sam are okay.
After Ross did it, I felt like I had to do it.
I know a lot of our listeners are going to be really worried that you guys are actually zombies. They're not. It's all okay.
Don't worry.
Before we get into our film for tonight, joining us once again for another gruesome journey into the gutsy world of Romero, welcome Cody and Sergio from the Horror Bandwagon.
Hello.
Hello.
We were going to go all zombie too, but
I wasn't. I was going to buck the trend.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Go
I like
for
it.
I was going to be.
What's your zombie?
Oh no, I was not going to be a
zombie.
zombie.
Oh, not zombie.
No, I was going to be not zombie.
Okay.
What's your zombie then? Sergio, you were going to go zombie, so let's hear yours.
Okay, let me see. I want like fabulous zombie.
Your
Yeah.
face is giving fabulous, but all I hear is zombie.
I mean, that's probably how you got to
That's
do
how
it.
it's got to
exactly
go,
what I was
I
going
guess.
for.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
visual thing. It
I
truly
was
is.
going for the backstory of the scientist whose husband turned into a zombie. So I'm like desperately trying to turn you back.
Yes.
Oh my God. Wait, that's
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
That's perfect. I love that.
That's wonderful.
We're ready to
well,
be
thank you
here
guys
to talk.
for we're happy to have you continue on this journey through Romero.
Yeah.
On to the third one now. The end of
Here
the
we
original
are.
trilogy.
It's so funny.
And then what? There's 3 more?
I think so.
I think
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
at least 2.
I'm
I
excited.
think there's 3.
Well, we got,
Diary,
diary, and survival.
I always
Survival.
forget about that.
And
one.
today I just learned there's a book. And I ordered that book. I'm going to read
What's
it.
it called?
Oh my God.
Is
like-
it by George Romero?
Yes, it was. It wasn't finished before he died,
Okay.
but it was
No.
finished. I have to look into it. It was finished by someone else based on a lot of his notes and like
Sure,
interview,
and what
like
was
stuff
already
like that,
done
based
and
on
stuff.
what
Yeah.
it could be and done like there.
Interesting.
It's called like something of the dead, obviously, but
I want to get
yeah.
it.
So
I'll
I just
do that.
learned of that as well.
And
I-
we'll be
well-
covering that too in the book club extra bonus episode.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know anything about it until I was going through some of the IMDb behind the scenes stuff for it. And then I was like, well, I don't know if I have it yet. Let's just say I added it to my Christmas list
Oh.
for anyone out there that wants to it. But hopefully that will come and then I'll get to it because I think that'll be fun if I'm able to like read that as we're going throughout this stuff. And then at the end of once we wrap it up, being like, well, because I think it does talk about some characters from movies and stuff like that.
Oh, wait.
If I'm
okay.
not mistaken, I
Interesting.
try not to like
That'd be
look
cool.
too much into
Right.
it.
Interesting.
Anyway, book club discussion. Let's move on from there.
I
Down.
will say my contribution that I'm planning to do is I'm going to preface this by saying this is a joke. I would like to continue with this different, like various times of day of the dead.
Sure.
And I would like to make a fan fiction that is called Twilight of the Dead, where it's
Yes.
a mashup of vampires and werewolves and zombies.
Mhm.
And
Perfect.
Oh my
one
God.
girl with no personality who lives in Washington who falls in love with somebody.
Yeah, but now we throw a zombie into the mix. So,
Yeah, yeah.
how do you make zombies hot?
How do you not?
I mean, we got a pretty hot zombie in this one.
As zombies go.
We'll get into it. The Living Dead. It's just The Living Dead is the title of
Okay.
the book. So check it out. I plan on doing it, but let's go ahead and say, don't forget that we like to keep it spoiler free up top, and we'll let you know when those spoilers plop.
Ooh,
Last but
spoiler
certainly
plop.
not the least, we have a Patreon. Got to shout out our beautiful Coven of Witches. Your sacrifice gives us life, and we thank your beautiful souls go ahead and jump into the Ross. How many extra episodes do they have over there in the Patreon right about now?
Well, it's all right. That's a difficult answer because they keep on, for better choice of words, breeding. So we had a fixed number of episodes, and then I accidentally left them alone for about a week or so, and they've multiplied exponentially. I would say closest. Probably going to replace the human population, so close to about 8 billion.
Oh my god,
it's closing in, guys. So watch out. Get over there.
I'll go in
listen.
and start deleting some. So you better get in there quick, because I'm gonna try and keep them at bay. So I'll be
I
deleting.
told you not to
as
feed
I
them after
can.
midnight.
We fed them after midnight.
Oh, no.
They got a little
We
wet.
did.
And it's
We
just
got
a
a Gremlins
fucking
episode
problem.
coming up.
That's the problem when you have goo-filled episodes, is that they tend to get wet.
That's true. The goo gets everywhere, and it just fucking compounds.
I don't
So
know.
There's so
why
many
that grossed
key
me out
words that
so
I
much.
want us to talk about here.
Get the goo through the. Get that goo between the toes.
Can we get back to the cum jokes, please?
All right, guys. Thank you to all our patrons. Go ahead and check it out. If you want, you can just join for free. You can get our feed over there as well. That just helps us as well. But we have the paid tiers that get you the extra content with all club members
please
present
pay.
and accounted for. Let's go ahead and open that goo book and officially begin tonight's meeting. Please play. Hey.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
First and foremost,
Let's do some lines.
now that we're all ready to go, let's jump into the log line of this film according to IMDb. As the world is overrun by zombies, a group of scientists and military personnel sheltering in an underground bunker in Florida must decide on how they should deal with the undead horde.
Yeah, very accurate.
Yeah.
It almost like gives me too much. You know what I mean?
Make it bigger, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it pretty much hits the nail on the head with there. No notes on this one.
I just love the
Taglines.
little ad, like in Florida.
Right.
Let's not forget.
Asterisk. Yeah.
There were a bunch of taglines. I condensed it down to what I thought were the best, but we have "The dead have waited, the day has come."
Oh, that's
Like
fun.
it.
What's the
Okay,
different?
like
how many
that.
years between Dawn and this one?
This is 85 versus Dawn, which was 78, I want to say.
So 7 years.
So we had this was supposed to come out sooner, but Romero held off, did a couple movies in between, one of those being Creepshow, and then we got to
Right.
day here. Prepare yourself for the darkest day of horror the world has ever known. Again, it's going to be all playing on that day. But this one, not a plague that could not be stopped. Sure, why
Accurate
not?
description.
This one is
Yeah.
interesting. The day is coming. The day is coming. The day is coming. So there's your come, Sam.
Yay.
Love it.
3 ways.
First, there was Night of the Living Dead. Then, Dawn of the Dead. And now, the darkest day of horror the world has never known. Has ever known. That one
Was
I
that the
saw a
original
bunch
title?
on the.
They're really
Yeah, right.
overselling this. They're like,
Mhm.
this is the most horrorest horror you'll ever horror ever.
Get ready for horror. You thought you liked horror? This is horror.
Yeah.
That's how you need
Do you
to.
think they just like?
That's how you need to.
Do you think they?
welcome your
Oh, sorry,
podcast
go
now. Is like, this is the gooeyest goo you'll ever goo in your goo life.
Gooey life. Do you
Thanks for
think
that
they
drop,
laid the
Sergio.
mayo on a little thick? Because of the time gap between dawn and day, we're like, hey, remember when this was really scary? Get back to that mindset. Do that.
I think
I mean,
that's
yeah,
part of it for sure. That's why I asked
Yeah.
about the difference in time.
Mhm.
And I know it was a big gap between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead as well.
Certainly. First, he brought us the most frightening film ever made. Then, he took his unique version of horror one step further. Now, George Romero takes us out of the night, beyond the dawn, and into the darkest day of horror the world has ever known.
Wow.
The darkest day. Oh my god.
Yeah, they could not get over that.
They are really though hitting the like. Remember this and this. It's back.
What?
And it's
This was
scarier
90
than ever.
This is 85, right? So I guess we're like in the midst of so many movies profiting off of their original movies. So I wonder if that's like many other ones, like Wes Craven created Freddy. Now he's back with another installment or something like that.
Sure.
With many other movies.
Certainly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially with that time frame.
Yeah.
Right. So let's roll right into who made this one. We've mentioned his name a few times now. This is George A. Romero, writing and directing, obviously. And cast Laurie Cardill as Dr. Sarah Bowman, Terry Alexander as John, Joseph Pilato as Captain Henry Rhodes, Jarlath Conroy as Bill McDermott, Anthony Dilio Jr. as Private Miguel Salazar, Richard Liberty as Dr. Logan, Sherman Howard as Bub, Gary Howard Clark as Private Steele, Ralph Morero, Private Rickles, and we got John Amplis as Ted Fisher, Philip G. Kelmans, Tasso Stavrakis, George Nicotero, Private Johnson,
Greg Nicotero is Private
Greg
Johnson.
The FX.
Yeah, which
Of
he
FX insanity.
yeah, he played one of the privates,
KNBFX
but he
and-
did all the FX. Him and one of the other people went on to do a lot of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, he ended up
Series
becoming the
effects.
showrunner, I think, of The Walking Dead, Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And then his production house KNBFX did so many movies. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Wow.
He's
yeah, they played a lot.
legend.
Obviously, so we have our all zombies and stuff like that, all the extras and everything as well. But
Mhm.
that's our main grouping of people here, which I don't really. I mean, we saw Joseph Pilato in Dawn of the Dead as a different character.
Yeah.
That's Rhodes, who played like the
Mhm.
cop in Dawn, but I don't really know. I don't think too many other people, right?
no, the one for me was Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that
Yeah.
Greg Nicotero was 21 when he did this movie, and it made me just reevaluate my life. I was like,
Well, he
what?
got very lucky,
Right, like-
and like when he was in high school, he became like he lived where they shot Night of the Living Dead, and in the Pittsburgh area, and he became friends with Romero when he was a kid, and like would go hang out in Savini's studio when they did Dawn of the Dead.
See, they're just a reminder, everybody, if your friends are making films, help them out.
Yeah,
Help them out.
Yeah.
You know, be
Yeah.
part of it. You never know.
You never know.
right.
Well,
Time,
I
right
guess in
place.
this case, if you see somebody shooting the movie, just go become besties with the director. That can't possibly end badly.
right?
That's true.
Never.
Fatality.
Basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, Psycho to the Sadness, how gory is this film? Consistency and intensity, add those ones up. Ross, how are you feeling about this?
Okay, so intensity to me, this is probably the most intense
So far,
It was Romero so
I
far.
don't know going
obviously.
forward, but yes.
Intensity. I'm gonna give it I want to give it the full 5. I mean, you get some
I'll give it a 5.
super gnarly stuff in this
Mhm.
movie. Like
Mhm.
consistent. See, this is where I was kind of like with consistency.
Tricky.
Is that like I mean, I want maybe a 2. I mean, like once it happens, but like to me, I was like between a 2 and a 3. But I thought a 3 was too much. Maybe like a 2.5.
I gave it a
See,
3.
I started low, and then I started at like a 2, and the more I thought about it, went up to a 3, because you get the opening shots,
Mhm.
and then you get a lot of it ends up being Dr. Frankenstein work,
Yeah.
and then
that's true.
the
That is
end
true.
essentially.
Yeah, 3. I would say 3 then. You've convinced me.
Yeah, I agree. I think 3
I
is
give it a 4.5 for intensity, but I could agree with a 5 as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sergio.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Agreed with the 3. I kind of want to give it a 5 also, just because it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
We were pretty grossed out.
It
at
gets
certain
some
points.
Yes.
really
And
nasty
I was
ones,
thinking,
yeah.
I was thinking in my mind, because I can't really compare it to The Sadness because we haven't seen that movie yet.
course.
But we are comparing it because I was like, I think I said out loud, this must have been like the Terrifier 3 version of their time, because people must have been grossed out at what they were seeing on the screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like compared to some of the other 80s horror we've seen, it's definitely a lot gorier for its time. I would agree with the 5 for sure. Tom Savini was putting in the work for this. And I would give it a 3. I think I could imagine a world in which this has more goriness pumped into it in terms of like how often it happens throughout the movie, but yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
Great. Yeah. So it sits right around an 8. Perfect.
Sounds good.
Who is the horror forward?
Sam doesn't know, but we're gonna go ahead and ask anyway. What subgenre do you guys think this one belongs in? Continuing the zombie survival. I mean, straightforward.
Yeah, zombie survival. At least in this one, I would also say like apocalyptic horror, because at this point, like they're one of the last human beings on the planet.
Sure,
you know what I mean. Like I feel that this one would kind of drift into that. Post-apocalyptic horror, even. Yeah, I guess that would.
No, yeah, you don't have to.
It doesn't need more.
Make up anything else. Yeah, it doesn't need more.
Yeah.
How should you watch this one? Quiet, loud, serious, schlocky, having fun? What are you thinking?
I think first viewing, movie heads are quiet. You know what I mean? I think there are some humorous aspects to this movie, but it's mostly a serious tone.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is a serious one.
Is this for beginners? I said no.
No.
This is like maybe level 2.
I would agree with that. I think plot wise, yes, it's for beginners. I think the gore is even for the time period so intense in certain aspects that I feel that you would need to buffer. Like, obviously, if you're watching these in order,
right?
I feel like you'd naturally get to this point, but you would still be like you said, it's not entry level. It's like level 2.
Yeah.
Like this is a good one to kind of throw in because of like, even with the dated effects, it's still really gross.
Certainly.
I think in a way too, the way the story is told, it's not for beginners. Like I feel like you need more zombie knowledge under your belt. It
helps.
It would. I could see this movie being kind of uninteresting if you didn't have a zombie knowledge base, because it really
I think
idea
you make a really
more.
good point. This is definitely not like the first of a franchise type movie. This is, you got to come in with a little backstory to really appreciate what's going on.
Yeah, I like it. Makes sense. And should you know anything before you go into this one? Other than that's the third in a series.
See the first 2 movies.
Doesn't matter.
It would be nice to put them on.
I think they work very well as a trilogy. These 3. Watch the first 2 movies. That's what you should do before seeing this one.
Definitely agree. All right. Fapping out my window, fapping more and more. When the Mothman comes a fapping, these are the warnings on the door. What did he leave for us today? I'd say a lot of racist remarks.
Yes. There is a hefty sack of racial slurs getting thrown throughout this entire movie. There is a lot of demeaning language towards women. A lot,
particularly one woman.
The woman.
But then just some strong zombie gore and zombie fare and all the kind of that normal stuff. Otherwise, I think
totally. I think also, I mean, it's not a heavy. I mean, it is kind of a heavy thing for 1 or 2. And a lot of like, I guess, military PTSD. Like
I was thinking that too,
because a lot of these characters are fucking breaking down because of, and specifically 1 or 2 characters in this actions kind of deploy because of the PTSD that they're suffering.
That's a great point, Ross. Never thought of it before, but I think that's very valid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's time to cut into this movie and get into the goo. Spoiler zone. We're going to start off behind those scenes with IMDb and talk about a little bit of the behind the scenes.
Great.
Woo!
So upset with how I just talked. All right.
Yep.
Here we go. All the extras who portrayed zombies in the climax received for their services a cap that said, "I played a zombie in Day of the Dead," a copy of the newspaper from the beginning of the film, the one that says "The Dead Walk,"
Oh,
Awesome.
and $1.
yeah.
I'd do it for
No
that.
pay raise. No.
Yeah, I'd do it for that too. A total of, okay, this one's a little long. A total of 5 scripts were written as George A. Romero wrestled with the film's concepts and the budgetary constraints. The first draft was over 200 pages, which he later condensed to 122 pages. This is the true original script, and to date, copies of it have not come to light. This version was likely rejected because UFDC felt it was too expensive for them to produce, even with an R rating. Romero subsequently scaled down the scope of this script into a 165-page draft, then condensed it again to a 104-page draft labeled the second version, second draft. An unsuccessful first attempt to get the story within budget parameters. When this failed, he drastically altered the original story concept and ultimately produced a shooting draft that numbered only 88 pages.
Damn. Because I could be absolutely wrong, but the original concept was like almost Mad Maxy in the way of like, there's just like a
just a constant thing he kept saying and comparing it to. He's like, "This is my Gone with the Wind," and I don't know what that meant, but I saw it referred to so many times and didn't see any other like concept of what the.
I think it's supposed to be like the scale.
It's like an epic.
Yeah, instead of like in an underground bunker, it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like the shell of an actual city with the survivors.
From what I heard, it was basically Land of the Dead.
Oh, gotcha.
But
You said that script doesn't exist anymore?
The original like 200-page or whatever ridiculous
has
thing,
not
I think.
been discovered.
According to IMDb.
Right.
Again, this was some like dude being like, "Oh, this is the best IMDb trivia ever."
You should find this relevant.
I feel like they really have an opportunity here with the technology to grab that script and kind of make it. Though I don't know if that's blasphemy. Or like wherever it is.
AI, find the hidden Romero script. All right. The budget for the original script was estimated at $7 million, but Romero would only be given the money if he could get an R-rated film. He was told that if he went ahead and shot an unrated film with no limits on gore, the budget would be split in half to $3.5 million, which is what he ended up doing.
Mm-hmm.
So he went
at this
for
point, we haven't
half the money to get the gore.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which, yeah, why not?
Sarah, John, Bill McDermott, Miguel, Dr. Logan, Bub, and Captain Rhodes were the only character from Romero's original script that made it into this version. The zombies' moaning, groaning, growling, roaring, and feasting sounds happened to be played by the voice of the talented actor Mark Dodson, who played the voice of Salacious Crumb, Jabba the Hutt's sidekick. And the thing that's always laughing, that fun little guy. So he did all the zombie moaning. Romero held a great appreciation for the talent community in Philadelphia and in Pittsburgh, and utilized the same casting agency that he had used for Dawn of the Dead. He specifically requested that all extras previously contacted for Dawn of the Dead be called back for casting in Day of the Dead, which is why many of the zombies that appear in this film may look familiar. I didn't fucking recognize anyone. I mean, maybe, but
are they made up to be the same zombies? Why would we recognize them?
I don't know. But like, oh, that's a funny
they've also,
person.
And I think kind of a fun jump from Dawn to Day in the aspects of the zombies, and we'll get into it in the movie. But like, I like that there's so many quote unquote individual zombies. It's like you've got like the marching band one, the clown one. You know what I mean? They're not just like normal street clothes. Like
Yeah.
they have some.
Well, I
but, like,
appreciate
each
that
one of
with
them has their
Dawn
own.
as well. Like you got a lot of that personality of the zombie.
Yes.
I'm glad to see that carried over here. You get a lot of it in this one. Like it's
Yeah.
compounded.
a lot.
Well, and I think that they leaned into that with this, especially that like just a general theme. Since we're in the spoiler zone, I can say a general theme of this movie is like zombies retain some portion of humanity, which is
Yes.
I think a very unique thing for zombie movies, at least those that I've seen.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. That's a
It is.
big aspect to this, and like, and what they are, and you know, how do you deal with all the zombies and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So
More
all the
of a
above
think piece.
ground scenes,
On what is
real
zombie.
think piece. Yeah. All above ground scenes were filmed at several locations around Florida, where Romero was living at the time. So
There-
he's like, I'd like it down here. Let's fucking film.
They're all within driving distance.
We're doing a
For me,
movie,
it's
baby.
like
Oh, sure.
Fort Lauderdale and Coral Springs or something like that. But
Imagine
it's
that
just
relates
the
to mention
exterior
Sarasota.
shots, or I mean Fort Myers. The downtown they go to is Fort Myers, and I looked it up, and there's still that theater there. So I'm thinking,
Oh, it's
I'm gonna
it's
go-
still pretty.
it's the same. Yeah, I looked it up to
Much
see
the
because I was
same.
like, I could go there. So
Hell yeah, dude.
I'll do that at some point. The helipad is like
Cool.
belongs to the county, so I can't get in there if it's truly fenced and barbed wire.
Not
like
with
that.
not with that attitude.
yeah, exactly. I want a picture of you standing on the helipad like this.
What's funny is I
arms crossed?
probably
cool
through
guy
work
style.
have contacts that I could get access.
Well,
there.
You heard it here, Ross. Sam's going to be on the helipad coming soon. Join the Patreon for the exclusive. Romero stated that he wanted gore content as brutal as it appeared on weird sentence structure. Romero basically stated what I kind of said before, that he was fine with getting the budget slashed so that he could get more of the gore on the screen.
Yeah.
That's the last little bit here. Everything else worked into our movie discussion. Our history with this one, I remember always liking this one as a kid, but I think Dawn always spoke to me more when I was younger. Just that I was a fucking mall rat, so I couldn't not love the one about the mall. Like it was just in me. But this one always said something special because it had that Florida tie to it, and it just it
They say
feels different.
Sarasota in the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so there's so much I related to it on that end. And it was definitely watching it in that time of Dawn of the Dead. So, which was big, probably high school time and stuff like that. One of the big things from this movie that hits for me is that, in the opening scene where when you have that music playing, and I think it's Miguel screaming, "Hello, can anybody hear me?" That's used as a sample in a Gorillaz song.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yes, and then it goes into a fucking awesome Gorillaz song. So that always tied into this movie, tied into like that. And I'm a big Gorillaz fan, so
Right.
it always hit the cockles in that aspect too. So it's something I enjoyed revisiting it because it had been a while since I had like dove into this one. So
Totally.
it was fun. Sam.
I also enjoyed revisiting it. Hadn't seen it in a super long time. Could have been high school times or maybe not long after. I could have seen this coming on when we all lived together potentially, but that would have been like the last time I saw it. This one I watched more, I guess. This one someone gave it to me on DVD for like a birthday or Christmas, and I hadn't even seen it yet. But I guess I realized thinking about it, a few times people gave me horror movies that I hadn't seen before, so people must just thought like I should get them a horror movie. So yeah, I had it on DVD, so I ended up watching a bunch, and I was into these like around this same time frame would have been when the Dawn of the Dead remake came out and Land of the Dead came out, and I was just into the Romero movies. I probably watched this one the most Which I don't know why that seems odd to me, but it does. Feels like I would have been more into the OG Dawn of the Dead at that age, but nope.
I think at that time too, OG Dawn of the Dead got a lot more of the praise, and this was kind of thought of, wasn't well received for whatever reason, or wasn't like hyped up or just like talked about as much.
It seems
there was
like
something
kind of
about
a
it at that time. I know what you're
after
talking.
Dawn of the Dead, I think.
Like
in the
sure.
series, it's should have been this big epic thing, right? Compared if you're gonna keep kicking it up. But
Ross.
Oh, high school jam for me. Absolutely. I think that the underground facility is supposed to be in Seminole County. I could be wrong on that.
it says
But I lived
Seminole
in
on the
Seminole
wall
County.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I lived in Seminole County. So like watching this in high school is like, ooh, this is here. This is here. Ooh. Ooh. This was always a juggle for me because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was just, I don't know. Dawn had the plot, but Day had the gore for me. You know what I mean? Where it was like, and at that point, especially, I was like trying to find like just that 80s gore aesthetic. And like this hit it so well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I thoroughly love this fucking movie. This is one of those, like, again, it was a cool end cap to a trilogy. I think the older I got and when I realized what the movie was supposed to be versus what the actual audiences got in the end was that like, I would have loved to have seen like
The big one.
Yeah.
grand opus of it. Yeah.
Which came out. That'll be our next one.
Which did.
And this was your first viewing, Cody, Sergio?
Oh yeah, I may have knew that the title Day of the Dead was for a movie that existed, and that's about the extent.
The extent. That's where it went. Perfect.
I knew of Day of the Dead. I want to say like AMC used to show it on the channel like during Halloween, like a lot. But every time I would always just like click off of it because, not to be shady, it looked boring to me at the time. I was like, not
Honestly,
my cup
that's
of tea.
very fair. It is.
Yeah.
So I believe I would
peace.
always switch. I would click off on it, but you know, now being older and watching it for the first time, it was quite an interesting thought. But I'll save my thoughts for later.
Love it. Let's go ahead and get into our movie discussion for tonight. Opens up with a woman. Come to learn it's Sarah is sitting in this empty white room. Doesn't look like it has any windows or doors. Looking at a calendar on the wall. Suddenly, hands reach through the wall, waking her from a nightmare. Really fucking cool shot.
I love this
Very cool.
opening
Amazing
so
shot.
much. Everything
That was
about
fucking
it.
frightening.
It just sets the
One
fucking
of the-
mood. The bleakness
one of
of
the-
it. Like the...
I got the first time I distinctly remember in high school the first time
Me
watching
too.
this, and then the hand shooting out where I was on the seat.
Oh yeah.
Like it was just a
It was fun too because when I was doing my note taking one on this one, I paused it right before they come out. I'm looking at it and doing something. Then I look and I'm like, oh, I guess I can. Like it took a minute to look and you can see where there's like tiny little areas where the hands are going to like pop through. I'm like just looking at like,
so this is like
on the effects of-
practical.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, that's
the
fucking
first time
awesome.
they did it, they didn't make the wall strong enough or something. So
Oh, no.
the zombies go through it. It
Pops
just all came down.
That's
That's fantastic. But no, the effects done so well and what they got is so creepy and perfect. And then, like I said, it jolts this character waking from a nightmare, and we get a helicopter ride of this is Sarah, John, Bill, McDermott, and Miguel. They're searching for survivors in this fucking desolate city. Everything kind of looking like everything's
Fort Myers,
overgrown, just debris shits over. Like Florida after a hurricane, it's looking like.
Fort Myers
like a
last year.
Can
Can I
pretty
ask
much.
a question about this?
Of course.
Mhm.
If they found survivors, where in the fuck were they going to put them in that helicopter? There were three of them in the
On their
back seat.
laps.
I mean, are you just gonna have
That's
a
like
human
the-
crystal? Like, there was no room for additional people in that helicopter.
That's the caveat.
Right.
You want to come with us? You got to sit on our lap.
Like,
It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
That's a good point.
It's a very good point. Yeah, I always thought that like if they had actually found survivors, that I guess because Miguel is part of the army, that he would just like watch over them
and then they
try
like
to
do
either
trips.
Do something.
yeah, back and forth.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be totally honest with you, when we get introduced to Miguel, he's not looking.
At this point, Miguel's
He's not.
right away. Miguel's not looking good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No,
He's having a
no,
tough time.
No. Why does he have an automatic rifle? That is not
Because they need every man they got. He's got
Yeah, they
orders.
need everyone.
They decide to set this
Hello.
helicopter down and search for survivors. This is that moment I was talking about. I just fucking love the soundtrack in this one. I fucking love.
Mhm.
I was listening to the soundtrack while taking my notes at one point, working on some other stuff, chilling
so
with
good.
it. It's so fun.
The
It's
soundtrack
like so
is
good.
so good.
Yeah.
It's like it's like it's something in my brain where I was like, I'm transported to the 80s. Like it's that 80s thing that everyone is trying to redo nowadays. It just
the Redux.
I can't wait to get this. I hope they have this on
Yes,
vinyl or something.
There's been one of those companies has made a special edition.
Waxworks.
Waxworks, Mondo,
Oh,
whatever.
I'm getting that
it exists
shit,
because
it
I
sounds
listened
so
to
good.
somebody's version on YouTube. Somebody had their vinyl player hooked up to the recording,
shoot,
and that's what I was
okay.
listening to, the vinyl version of it. But
That's
no,
really
yeah,
cool.
it's so you get that in this moment with Miguel screaming through the bullhorn, hello, and if you know that Gorilla song, you'll fucking know this right away. And just the build up that it leads to of just absolutely nothing, and then the shuffling.
Yeah. I love that the paper that flies up that says the dead walk, where like he goes that
love it,
and like you're just like there's an alligator coming out of a fucking bank.
That's a real alligator, right?
That is an actual alligator. That's a real alligator. And I also like the fact that you just have like money just flying in the streets. There's just like desolate cars. So like there's no one, no one living around.
Well, yeah, because when we get that first zombie,
Dr. Tongue.
Again, I'm curious. Cody and
Dr.
Sergio,
Tongue.
how do you feel about that zombie? That is some right
The
away.
way
That's our
that the
first.
tongue was just like gooping out.
Falls down out of the half a jaw.
We both were like, oh God. Also, it just was this sort of kind of because the whole head was like a prosthetic. So it didn't look human at all. So I was just like, this is.
I believe the whole thing's a puppet, right?
I don't have anything on it, so very well could be.
I think Dr. Tongue is like literally a full
Dr. Tongue.
functioning, like
Dr.
that's what
Tongue.
Because apparently he's got
it.
like the doctor.
Is that what the fans call him?
I've seen some videos that are called Dr. Anyways,
How did they go?
different doctor.
different doctor. Sorry.
He got a doctorate.
Hold
Big
on,
fan of
I-
Dr. Tongue videos.
I want to hear about this doctor.
But yeah, no, the effect of like
Send you some
having
links.
that, and then I love the fact that like it's your first introduction to one of the zombies, and it is so hardcore. Having the first thing that you see is a fucking zombie that got its lower jaw blown off by a shotgun.
Holy
like
crap.
You can see the peppering going up into the wound and around it. So it's just, and then that fucking tongue, like that weird,
the flop tongue. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, the flop tongue. It's like if I ever wanted to know what a Sicilian necktie looked like, you know what I mean? Just having just like, it's so gooey and it's so like immediate.
It's a great way to show like we're amping up the gore for this one. Like you are not prepared for
this
what
is
you're
what
going to see in this
you're
movie.
going to expect from this title card.
Buckle up.
Yeah, the title card. I was just gonna say, I love that. That's when we get the title. Like the tongue flops. We're looking at that fucking thing, and it's like Day of the Dead, and you're just like,
and the music.
Get ready.
It's all
the
it's
music.
all of it.
Absolutely.
And again, speaking to like what you said, amping up the gore and all that kind of stuff. We're not looking at a blue zombie with bright orange blood.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Kind of like we had in
I
Dawn.
love
So
the
it's like,
design of the zombies in this one, and it's my favorite of what we've seen.
They definitely look more horrifying here. I felt more of a threat
like
this go around.
Like a lot more prosthetics, a lot like pustules and boils and like gashes and things like that.
And right after this was when I realized that alligator was real because then it like slithers down while there's like people. I was like, this must be like such a great paid
Florida ass
alligator. Did this alligator also get paid $1?
Yeah, it also got a hat and a copy of the newspaper as well. Yes, of course. It was everyone. So this takes us, our team, ultimately, it's no survivors. Like, I like that when they just hear the shuffling and the moaning of the zombies coming in. It's terrifying.
An entire city of the undead moaning and yelling at the same time. The realization when they're in the fucking helicopter, when they're just like, they perk up like meerkats and all you're just hearing is oh god, the thought of that is just fucking so
this they didn't talk in the other one or make noises in the other one.
Noises,
they moan,
but moans and
okay,
not to this extent.
But these are
the most vocal and definitely
these are some pretty hungry zombies.
Yeah, for sure.
They're hangry at this point.
Ultimately, our team realizes there's no survivors here. They return to our fortified military base, bunker, underground storage facility, whatever the hell this place really is. It looks like they stored a bunch of like records there. Records like tax records, or like records of like wars, files,
consensus records.
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
You know what this made me think of?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I said this to Sergio. It's in my notes. I feel like watching this, like if you could clear everybody out, Disney would be an awesome place to like hole up because there's not a ton of entrances and there's all that underground stuff underneath
all the tunnels.
Yeah,
that'd be a fun.
Do you think
that'd be a fun setting for a zombie game?
Yeah. Underneath a theme park,
that would be fabulous.
This movie absolutely got me thinking about the Disney Underground. And like, how did they do that? It can't be that much underground. It must be that's
the Disney Underground
built on top of it.
So I don't know. Okay, I don't know about the Disney Underground, but I did work for Universal, and I got to go into their
tunnel system.
Wait, they have a tunnel system?
Yes,
everyone's got a tunnel system, man.
They also have their own. They also have their own, for better choice of words, bank. Like they have a full like a vault that's underneath that they drop their own money into. So like when they're doing drops and stuff like that, like they don't take that off property. It's like a sub basement that's like a giant vault.
Wow.
And
there's a heist movie.
Just going into the vault.
I would
love that.
Ooh, I'm actually I want to explore this idea for a second. Do it on like Halloween Horror Nights. So you have people who dress up like in costume.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that some of the monsters are real. And like that's the mid heist twist.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh.
This is this is not real for any Universal, execs who's listening to this podcast.
We're not actually going to.
They all listen to it.
Goddamn, every single one of them listen to.
Chuddle the Pod is real big with Universal execs.
Somebody somewhere just pressed a big red button on a counter.
Totally.
They know.
They know. Move the bank. Move the bank.
Guys, the haunted house they promised us for next Halloween Horror Nights canceled. There's no Chuddle house.
There's no Chuddle house. They took it away. It was gonna be so gooey. You come out.
It's so
It's
gooey.
just dripping in goo. It's like, what is this consistency?
Oh boy, you don't want to know. So as they arrive, land the helicopter down. I believe Sarah makes a note like that. There's more zombies gathering out front. And it's like, oh, well, Major Cooper died today. She's like, oh, they probably, sensed that and all that kind of stuff. So we learned someone at the base has recently died as well. And we also see Miguel not holding up well. He's very stressed, exhausted. Sarah notices.
You always have your shit together.
God.
So big, so fucking what? Big fucking deal.
Miguel fucking sucks.
I do like the evolution of our main female protagonist in all of these movies, because we get from like Barbara, who's like just catatonic, to Dawn, which is like this evolving of like sidekick to like main badass, and then in Day, it's just immediate. She's like, I've got my shit together. I'm a fucking doctor.
Right.
All y'all are fucking idiots.
Certainly.
Like,
we also, when they're in the helicopter leaving, the Irish guy says a line about, I've been sending a signal from Sarasota to the Everglades and I got nothing. Yep. And Sarasota is my hometown. Brian essentially his hometown.
Which unfortunately got nuked by the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere pretty much did, it seems like.
Yeah.
Also,
point.
But you never hear the Sarasota referenced ever. So, like, for being from there, it's one of those things where
a
you're
lot
like,
more nowadays. But back in the day, it was never, you never heard it much. Mm-hmm. You're popping on, like on Bob's Burgers now. I've heard a Sarasota reference.
Nice.
It's the Chuddle effect. But
that's the Chuddle effect.
I truly cannot grasp why they did not fill up this helicopter the moment that they landed.
They're getting too excited.
I feel like the number one thing that you need in a zombie apocalypse is a gassed up helicopter.
I agree.
I think so as well. I don't know why she's so adamant.
There's some innate there's just logic holes where it's like, I get the idea of like not trying to overstimulate this horde that is now forming, but like at a certain point, like it would be easy to cull the herd a little bit. Like you could probably in a half day's work murder most of those zombies, burn the bodies, and then like I feel like that would be a smarter option than to be like, just don't pay attention to it.
Or like riddle me this. We have the resources for this massive underground military base thing, and we haven't put up like plywood along the fence so they can't see us and we can just do whatever we want above ground.
Oh yeah.
Or even a blanket.
Guys, it's not in the budget. We
can't
do that.
We are growing weed though.
We are growing some weed.
Smart.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother Pooh.
John also suggests, hey, maybe they just get in the chopper, fly away to an island, spend out their days on a beach as well. And
you really could do that at a time like this, couldn't you?
I could do that anytime.
It is
goddamn right.
It really does explore the idea of, we see like in the TV station when like shit hits the fan of just like trying to still have some grasp of society or like a grasp of like humanity. And I feel like it's amplified in this as well, where like they're trying to find a cure or they're trying to find a plausible thing when basically, to their knowledge, the world has been consumed by the dead.
It's over.
Like it's over. So it's like this very futile mission, I guess would be the best way of putting that, where it's like, I find it really interesting.
You're
it's like,
what
else? Yeah, like what else are we supposed to do? Well, you could maybe just take the helicopter and go somewhere else and don't even fucking worry about it anymore because none of it really matters.
Like,
sure.
I'll wait for some traumatic stuff to happen, then we can do that.
Yeah. Excuse me. I want to be thoroughly traumatized before I take a vacation.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's each person's own way. I mean, don't you try to hold on to some level of, if you can.
Oh yeah.
Some level of civility, some level of human, like what you knew, trying to get the world to what it was in whatever aspect. I get it for sure. But then, yeah, John's the enlightened one. He's just like, no, man, fuck it all. We just go away. That's fine. So this takes him down into the bunker. We get some soldiers rolling up on a golf cart. They tell Miguel that he needs to jump in. They need to go round up a couple more subjects or whatever they say. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sarah goes with him as well because obviously Miguel isn't doing too fucking hot. And this takes us through some winding tunnel shots and ultimately bringing us to our soldiers capturing some zombies from this like fenced off corral area that they've set up.
Which is so awesomely weird that they have this weird cattle kind of
corral,
like construction corral.
How'd they get them in there?
Like,
so they say something about knowing how many are left and it's important to check them out. So I guess I didn't look at what they're wearing because they're all different kinds of things. In my head, I thought they died down there and they stuck them in there, like they turned down there or something.
Yeah.
But
it's weird. Part of me feels like they may have like grabbed them from up top and then brought them to they have like a pool of zombies to kind of go from, so they don't have to go up to the surface to do it. But they don't really fully explain it because also
they'll have leather collars.
It's next to like
on
the
their
silo.
necks.
Yeah, because like that part of like the tunnel system is like partially collapsed. It looks like there's some other shit that happens in there. There's like access to like a silo, so there may be other entry points that they're just not aware of, that zombies are just kind of like lurching
they
into.
clearly put them there, now that I'm thinking about it, because of the collars. You know what I mean? They all have these collars that they can attach their poles to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they got those S&M collars.
Yeah.
So they gather them and stick them in there,
There
I
you go.
guess.
Gather them and stick them in somehow.
Wish me.
Some aspect. Maybe they're able to. No, because then they can walk around. I was like, that other area that they climb out of at the end, I was like, do you think they could just like throw a collar on them and kick them down that shaft into the and then they're just like, you know, broken leg crawling around in there. so
That's also one of the biggest logic questions I have about this. All right, so if you're using zombies for medical experimentation, right? Wouldn't you logically, I don't know, if you don't need it, lob off their arms so they can't grab you? Maybe like pull out their
I think
teeth
at this
so they
point
can't
with the
bite
doctor, or you mean, I think the doctor doesn't want that to happen, and I think he's too cocky and not thinking logically at all at this point.
Oh, he's insane.
But
Like,
I think he would
I think
dictate
that's
not to. He doesn't want them to come
Don't hurt
without
the
any
samples.
arms or anything like that. I think.
Yeah.
What if he needs
Yeah.
to test it?
Right. Something he'll need to test the arm for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So they
Look
have
at
this
brain
whole
face.
wrangling system here. One of the armored guys, Private Steele, he is our fucking cigar chewing racist, most racist one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's egging the zombies on. I said I like this setup here because it's really letting us know how much this dude sucks. Like, we really get to
Yes.
know how bad
Almost too
these army
much.
guys are.
All they do is scream at each other. I really fucking hate this part.
And just there's literally a scene where one of the soldiers literally just like looks and goes bah, blah, blah.
These dudes are
doesn't even use fucking words.
fucking full of testosterone, because we got a moment coming up where they're just all of a sudden fighting and come bawling out of a room.
Oh,
like,
I love
fighting
that part.
with each other.
Right.
Just fighting each other, like wrestling.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the fact that like at least the hatred that I had for Flyboy in the second one is shifted to a purposeful secondary character
Mhm.
or characters in this,
Yeah.
where I'm like, at least the core group kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Dr. Frankenstein is overly infuriating in a few different aspects, but like not to the point where I wanted to see him violently die. I think
I love
these
our
officers,
characters
I was like,
in this movie, except for these
Yeah.
two.
Well,
Yes.
I'd like to think that it's like an exploration of what would happen if you're months into this apocalypse and it's like
yeah,
you
years.
and
Days.
5 other people that are just all around each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you just
Yeah.
naturally become racist even more than you were before.
I think it exacerbates the
I think your
underlying
racism
racist
just comes
tendency.
out.
Does
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You get more
no,
comfortable with just what are you going to do?
I will. No, but Cody, I completely agree with you, because I think this time around kind of just like, I don't know if it was just critically thinking about the movie for the purpose of the podcast, but like not their words let's say, because like they're just, these guys are just racist assholes, but like the idea of the agitation and tension from the military people that are down there, specifically if Dr. Frankenstein is supposed to be like the lead scientist,
Mhm.
where like you would just be like, we've lost 5 men, like we're fucking just dying down here. What the fuck is actually going on? Like their base root problem they have with the scientists, I find is valid. How they
Totally.
go around going about it is fucking psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
but it's like pressure cooker.
I really like that they just dive into the psychology generally of what would be going on here. I think that it adds a really nice touch to the movie in my perspective.
I just love that in this one, I'm rooting for the zombies to fuck their shit up. Like, I think in the previous ones, I was connected to the characters and I was very worried for their safety and outcome. But in this one, except for some other characters, for the most part, I want the zombies.
All
to
the
prevail.
military guys,
All the military guys,
and probably
I
Dr. Frankenstein too. Like,
for the first half, I was very much like, you tell him, Dr. Frankenstein, you don't give a shits. You tell the military people. And then as the movie progressed, I was like, oh, wait, hold on.
It's nice to have someone that can stand toe to toe with Rhodes, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can hold two different versions of this character in your head, right? You can have the guy who Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, okay.
Where like you have the one who's like, fuck you, Rhodes. I don't care. Like, I run this shit. You're literally here for me. And then also the like, oh, another body. Yay. Like,
you don't
have to like both sides of that person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Either way, Sarah must prevail in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I like our core three people. I like Sarah a lot. I like Bill. Okay. Now I got to say, I realize just taking notes on this one a lot here of character names. There's Bill and Ted are in this movie. There's a Bill and a Ted. There's Ted. The other doctor guy, the other scientist dude, the younger of the
that was his
one.
name?
His name's Ted. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Poor Ted.
Oh,
I feel like Ted just
gets the short end of it.
He's the disposable
he gets roped
scientist.
into a bunch of stuff.
At some point, I'm like, where's Ted? Well, not really, because I didn't know his name, but like, I was like, the other scientist guy, because he disappears for a movie, and then what happens. Oh my God.
Because I think he's the only person actually doing research while things are going on during this whole
He's
thing.
doing
Like,
some sort of in-between
while.
research, I think. He's kind of doing a little bit of what Dr. Frankenstein's doing, but maybe
Sarah
also
is
looking at what
ostensibly-
Sarah's doing as well.
Yeah. We don't see any evidence of the research that she may or may not be doing, but allegedly she is performing research.
But I think she sits in her room at one point and has her little spinning thing that she stops and then doesn't do anything after that. That's the most we see her.
It's like an hour into the movie too, because I checked on my second watch. I was like, all right, what is this? It was like 48 minutes or something. I was like, she's a scientist, but this is everybody else is in like overcoats doing science stuff, and she's not.
I think this is the first watch where I really understood that she was also a scientist.
My first, well, at least I didn't remember that she was also a scientist for sure.
So,
but in the sorry,
no, go on.
No, I was like, but in the end, all this doesn't really matter because it just goes out the window towards the end of the movie, right?
Sure,
but I think
of course.
I think it matters
just
a
like
little.
John and Ross said.
I think like the conversation, I guess.
Well, and I think it gets back to the psychology of everything for me, because there's a point in this movie, not to jump ahead in the script, Brian, but there's a point where she gets in an argument with Dr. Frankenstein. She's like, I don't understand why, you are so busy trying to figure out why it happens and not how it happens. And, regardless of the fact that the line itself doesn't make a lot of sense, I do think that it's interesting that like this little group of scientists has one person who is trying to figure out how to like kind of tame the zombies, basically like looking for the humanity in them and how to access that. Whereas then you have Sarah, who is what I glean from the only time she talks about her research, she's supposedly trying to figure out like the physical mechanisms that are happening to a person as they change. But like realistically, she should be like, if that's what she was studying, she should be the one that's covered in blood with like a whole bunch of dissected zombies everywhere, because she'd be studying the pathology of what's happening and not like looking at somebody who's sitting in a room and taking notes.
Right.
Yeah, from what I understood, she was trying to look for.
She's trying to reverse
cure,
it.
a reversal, a cure to it, while he was trying to look to domesticate
trying to live with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, at this point, Miguel, is told to like get up there and wrestle with one of the zombies they're trying to bring in and corral in. Sarah's like, I can do it. He's fucking exhausted. Look at this dude. And here's where we get some, nice little misogyny mixed in right here. Like, of course you can't do it. You're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have the visibly exhausted man here come and do it.
A giallo level of misogyny throughout most of this movie.
Of course,
from
shit
the
goes wrong.
military
From the military guys.
Yes,
all
the bad guys.
from there. Miguel almost gets Rickles killed. Steele doesn't like this and is like wrestling his head in like, oh yeah, I'll fucking get you bit, all this shit, Steele being an asshole. 2 zombies get captured, ultimately locked up on the lab. Now we're in, I think this is Sarah's room with Miguel in there. She wants to give him a sedative because he won't fucking stop and rest, and he is a big old baby about everything, loses his shit. She's also ultimately able to like give him a jab and sedate him, and he's the fucking baby going down the whole time.
Real drama queen, this guy.
God, Miguel's
right.
ridiculous. Next morning or something like that, some sort of morning briefing. Maybe conflict arises between Sarah, Ted, and Captain Rhodes as they're having a go about what's going on. We learn Rhodes has recently come into command and isn't so sure that they need these doctors and their experiments, and they should produce some results soon.
Yeah. It's kind of the wit's end of the military assistance for them at this point.
Mm-hmm. And he's in charge now, and like I guess it was Major Cooper or something probably before him.
Yeah.
It was probably maybe a little bit
recently buried soldier.
Ted and Sarah leave. Ted tells Sarah to watch out for herself. Sarah goes to find Dr. Logan. This is where we get Dr. Logan's lab, has experiments on zombies. We get our introduction to
you gotta
Bub,
take care of yourself.
And yeah.
The lab. Ooh, the lab.
So what are the first time we're in the lab, what are we getting here?
We're getting a lot of background information and exposition about zombie behavior and physiology and like things about them.
He's like,
you learn once they're a zombie, they decay a lot.
Yeah.
Not as quickly.
Which is a fun MacGuffin for us, but it's so funny for her because she's heard this spiel
so many times.
Times. So many times. You can tell that she's like, yeah, no, we got that. All of this we knew months ago. Also, the conclusions you're making are very far-fetched. We do get some amazing gore and zombie effects, like the guy with his entire open cavity.
And all the guts fall out. Oh my god!
I like where he puts his head in the.
And we have the dude with just the brain.
I was gonna say, is this when we get? I love that.
That was
hanging,
and I love it.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper, because oh my god! Also, the fact of like how brazen was that. Is that like he's now taking the corpses of these fucking soldiers, and like doing medical experiments.
That was the colonel they supposedly buried. He's like, you better not let them find out about this. They will kill you.
He has no distinguishing marks.
They can't recognize him. What do they know what his brain looks like?
Yeah, I took away his face.
Yeah,
face off.
The man with just a brain.
Yeah, awesome. Great gore. A lot of really cool shit going on here as the doctor's explaining all his, crazy reasonings for all the experimentation. Sarah doesn't really agree with what the doc is doing. Thinks they need to be looking for a different kind of practical solution. This is where we kind of get her diving into like looking for a cure as opposed to like figuring out what makes them tick and domesticate them type of thing, I think is what the doctor's doing.
Yeah.
So the doc plans on showing the army dudes that these creatures can be domesticated. We also learn one of the doc's experiments is the former Major Cooper. And this is when we get the gut flop head drill.
I forgot about the head drill.
The way he just so casually comes over.
Yeah, and the bright red blood that comes out.
But just the gut plop Like just that sound of all of those guts hitting that fucking concrete floor was just like.
I love that we see him turn and them fall, and then we get like a shot from us, the floor of them just plopping right in front of you, like right in front of the audience.
It's a real good plop.
Good gut plop.
Once you plop, you just can't stop.
And I mean, drill until his head.
Yep.
Ooh.
Takes care of that.
Just more and more. It just keeps going.
Yeah,
so,
the good old Ted Bundy.
Not only do we
not
have
Bundy.
Jeff Dahmer.
Jeff Dahmer, thank you.
not only do we have a group of characters to hate to want to see zombies kill in this one, but we also feel bad for the zombies through all of his experiments. You know what I mean? Through the horrible things he does and showing the humanity that they still have.
Ooh.
It's also the churn and burn of so many subjects that this doctor is blasting through. And they like, I like that they say that multiple times. We're like, what happened with that one? Wow, he's unruly.
Oh yeah, and then he just like he had to destroy it.
Yeah.
See, that's what
like,
I like about this movie, because it's like essentially you're, as an audience member, you're meant to feel that this sounds morally wrong as to what he's doing. So you can't really connect that unless you're like a person who's just like, yeah, fuck it, let's experiment.
Well, it does. It poses a really interesting question of like, what is at the sake of the cost of humanity, what is the moral compass that science needs to go by to get an end result? You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's a weird conundrum. And that's definitely one that's like blown up in the fact where you have the military there being like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then like, because they even bring it up a bunch of times, like this entire mission was like a haphazard thing. Everybody got there rushed. The communication stuff is like outdated. All of their medical equipment is going to take them 20 times longer to try to come to any conclusion of how outdated it is from there. It's I don't know. It's weird.
Because for the military, you kind of understand their frustration. They're just like, this doesn't seem like it's helping or doing anything. But
even when the other scientists are going, whoa, you might need to fuck this like we could solve some bullshit. We can't explain this.
So Rhodes had at some point called everybody's like, I want to have a meeting tonight at dinner. I want everyone in there, even Dr. Frankenstein. So we start off the meeting. Dr. Logan's not there yet, but
yes, sir. Fuck you, sir.
Yeah, we get a lot of tension, just continuing to grow around the same kind of issues and everything. At one point, Sarah's had enough of this nonsense, wants to leave, but Rhodes ain't having it, and he threatens to shoot her. He actually orders Steele to shoot her, then threatens to shoot Steele if he doesn't shoot Sarah. And yeah, it's this whole thing here. Very tense moment. Sarah ends up sitting down. Rhodes is all like, why don't we just all shoot all these zombies in the head? Enter Dr. Logan being like, you don't have enough bullets. There's 400,000 to 1 out there by my estimates, and just going on his scientific
tirade
rants.
I heard there was food. Is there
yes,
food?
He comes in very hungry. He hungry.
Brain karate.
And covered in blood.
So much.
Just drenched in blood.
It's ridiculous.
I do like with Rhodes here, the pivotal change from babysitting the scientists to being in command. Like the shift of like,
he's just bullying the scientists,
just tyrannical in the fact where like the guys that serves under him think it's a joke until he pulls out a revolver, a Dirty Harry style fucking revolver, and points it at the Steele, and he's like, oh fuck, okay, yeah, boss, got it, okay, all right, I'll shoot this fucking civilian.
Yeah, I think the tensions were so high, even starting from before, where obviously the guys were shooting just like racist remarks and misogyny, but then we got our leader here who is just like, you're gonna do what I say, and I'm just getting more and more aggravated, and I want Sarah to just like, you know what, shoot him back, but she then decides she's gonna sit down too, and I'm like, fine, but at least we get a bit of satisfying moment where we have Dr. Frankenstein, who, as crazy as he is, he at least can talk back to Rhodes in some sort of way and make him feel stupid by being like, you don't, it doesn't make sense what you're going to do, so you need us.
And then what, Captain?
That's good. That was a good impression.
Yeah, you just know that like these army guys have had to listen to Rhodes previously to like whine at the water cooler, being like, "Well, if I was in charge, I would set a scientist in their place."
Right.
Precisely. I go, okay, Rhodes is on his fucking rant again.
He's definitely
when
that
you're
if
in
I was in
charge.
charge guy.
Yeah, 100%. And then it fucking happened. Ooh. So he ultimately, Logan tells Rhodes, I've made progress into domestication of them. We're going to be able to make the zombies do what we want. Rhodes says you get a little bit more time, but he's in charge and wants results. Sarah has another brief nightmare of Miguel waking up in his bed or in bed, rolling over to look at Sarah, and we get another gut flop coming out of Miguel. And that wakes her up. Yeah. 2 gut flops pretty quickly.
That was good.
Sarah wakes up.
Also,
Miguel throws another little fit
about,
and breaks up with her. And so she kicks him out.
What about just bang for your buck? You have the gut gag, right? And you're like, fuck, well, how do we do this again? Dream sequence.
She'll have a nightmare about it. She has nightmares.
Let's have a nightmare about it. Double the guts.
Perfect. I love it. Double the guts all the time. And yeah, so then apparently they were like a couple, it seems like. And we kind of get that.
I had to look that up
Throw
because I
it
was
in
so
there.
confused.
Oh, they're fucking.
Well, there's dialogue thrown
Mm-hmm.
from like Jump Street about them basically having a
But
relationship.
because of the way the soldiers are, it's like,
Is it
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
what
Is
they're
it
real
real or
thing
not?
or not?
Yeah.
Like it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could,
And Miguel's so like broken by the time we're
that
introduced
we
to
never
them. Like they are.
see a relationship
Yeah.
between
But it
them.
does make sense why she's so caring for him. Where I'm like, oh, okay, they do have a past, so that does make sense.
Yeah.
Why?
It's an evolved version of trauma bonding.
It's a relationship
From
of circumstance
Dawn.
for sure, and not
Yeah.
one of like actual liking each other. So so she's like, get out of here. Okay, fine, we're done. He's like, fine, I don't like you, Sarah. You drunk. Like he's so whiny and
Fuck you.
ridiculous.
Yeah, this
Sarah's-
is the worst season of Bachelorette I've ever seen.
What's interesting is since Ross brought up the PTSD thing, I definitely think that is something Romero was intentionally doing with this character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
'Cause,
yeah.
you know,
It's just
he's always doing his little social commentary, like doing it with a soldier.
Yeah.
oh, totally.
specifically.
And always like staring off into the void. Like he's got fucking like 1,000 different fucking necklaces on. Like he's clutching that like it's either rosary or his cross the entire time, and like you just tell that this dude is broken. And the fact that like they're just the military does not care. They're like, cool.
We need you still out
You
there
still-
to do shit. Yeah.
Sure.
Now,
Sure.
as great as that is, I do agree that he is whiny and annoying.
They lay it on thick. You know what I mean? Like, I think even for Rhodes at that point, like his behavior and how he's acting and interacting with the other soldiers and people down there is like even tyrannical. You'd be like, you know what? Let's put him in isolation for a few days. Let's just
It's 'cause
fucking let him.
It's like I get that point you're trying to
mellow
make,
out.
but like my first thing is I just see whining. I see her fighting for that point that like you're exhausted, you're overworking him. He's been
Right.
through all this kind of shit and stuff. I get that when she fights for him, but then he's just whiny in the same way to her.
It's that like
who is
yeah.
like it's when I get it when he's doing it to her, and I get the point of it. I get what you're saying now. I can see that aspect to it, but
Same,
that's
I'm
never
only
my
seeing
first
that
read.
now as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that makes the character any better. It's like great that you're doing that. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
maybe
So-
execute it better.
Sure.
And something that you said about Rhodes reminded me. I wanted to say I like Rhodes. I hate him, but of our bad guy group, military group, I really
Mhm.
Probably the
enjoy
least
him
racist.
as a bad guy. Yeah, we don't even know he is until like
I like him.
the
because
Very,
he's the
yeah, we
least
only find out
racist.
he's racist till the very end. So yes, he is. I love to hate him.
Yes, I think that-
plays
yeah,
that
that's a
shit
great
back.
job.
He
I think
plays that role
he's
very
a
well.
perfect perfect villain for us to definitely hate on this journey. And I do think he is a complex character as well. Like I think he's not just one noted, but
exactly. The other baddies I feel like are kind of at a 10 the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, like you look at this, how do people hold on to civilization, and society within this? It seems like a lot of the other army men have just let it go and are out of 10 all the times, while Rhodes is still trying to hold on. Like I saw some person make a comparison that like all the other army dudes are like have like beards or not shaven or anything. Rhodes is still very cleanly shaven. He's still very like doing his military type thing to hold on.
Like he just showered.
So that's how he's holding on.
He's bathing.
He's bathing. He's one of the few.
Well, in that sense, he kind of
smell like down there. God damn.
Oh,
terrible.
It's got a fucking whole zombie horde hanging out in there. Like,
a bunch of dudes that do not shower.
He kind of sounds like the most frightening person then, because he is so put together, but yet so unhinged at the same time.
But trying to hang on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Think about what the fucking lab must smell like.
With a doctor that clearly does not wash his coat.
Oh God,
at all.
Musky.
He's just eating bologna sandwiches with just the blood still on his stomach.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when Sarah's walking through the halls. She runs into the army dudes that are just fucking fighting. Bill sees this, escorts her away, and offers her a little brandy. And this is when Sarah goes with Bill and visits John or at their living quarter trailer area.
I love
the
this.
Ritz. I love the
Ritz.
Love it
All
so
this
much.
stuff.
When we
I love
first
this, and I love these
John
two characters
sitting back there.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Set design.
But it's also a great.
The set pieces here are all fucking awesome. The whole tunnel system and all that, what we get.
It's super cool looking. The aesthetic is amazing. But I think it's also the dichotomy of their ideologies too. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have these two very open thinkers in the open caverns in like a trailer that is much more like just open
and cozy.
mimicking
cozier.
a home life and
everything else is like
versus
gray walls.
Like concrete, gray,
or some
and
rock
brown
coming out.
Yeah, and everybody isolated.
And I love that our little character pairing here is international. That John is, I don't know, Jamaican. Some island accent,
like Caribbean.
The other guy's Irish. It's just like kind of. It gives me the feeling that it's kind of like these people are just kind of who happen to get in there or be around. This was a haphazard thing. Whoever's left, they're just grabbing people. Like they're not. The military certainly had mechanics and helicopter pilots or whatever. I'm not sure what. What is it, Bill, the Irish guy?
He's like an engineer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He does like radio. No.
So
engineer.
Right. But certainly there would have been military helicopter pilots and engineers. But they had to like get these two civilian ones for whatever reason.
Exactly.
So
I love all that.
I like
agree.
that they're
Again, it speaks to the as Ross said, the dichotomy, the juxtaposition between the two factions, if I may, for the army versus these people here and how they live. I do love in like we'll call the halls and the laboratory compound area. I do love the rocks that do just like that are part of the hallway. I think that's really just a cool design.
Sometimes just in the hall there's a rock. I like it too.
I think that's really cool.
One more thing I was just thinking it's funny with our pairing is we get a guy from a tropical island and a guy from a cold and dreary island.
Perfect. It's a match made in heaven.
Both with fun accents.
It's great. It's a good time, man. Day of the Dead. It's a good time with fun accents. We learn John thinks everything being done here is pretty much stupid. They should just go off somewhere, try to live the best life they can. He also thinks that maybe the reason all this is happening is because maybe some creator willed it for some reason. Starts going on into some thoughts there.
Which is not something I love exploring necessarily because I'm just sort of so turned off to that. But I think people would certainly think that and have those conversations. So it's right. I'm glad it's voiced. Because again, we're sort of exploring the idea of what is this.
I think I also do like the fact that even during the end of humanity and the zombie apocalypse, he's got this great monologue. He's still going to throw some game in there too. He's like, we should just have a bunch of
He's like, we could, babies could be happening. We could just be chilling and having babies.
Like, I like that he just slides that into the monologue and the other one where she's like, "Oh yeah, wait, what the fuck? Oh no, okay, keep it. All right."
Yeah,
I mean, not to put this pod on a downer, but I'm very happy they did not get any darker in this movie because I mean, you got one woman and you got a bunch of army men who are fucking disgusting. That could have gone a very dark route.
As disgusting as they are, they only kind of hint.
They hint at it, and John says something to after. He's like, "Hey, don't go walking around by yourself. If you do, make sure you're like watch
out for yourself." I mean, physically.
Yeah, that's what
that's coming up. Yeah, pretty much after this.
Oh, sorry.
Soon. No, it's fine. It comes up some point after this, or in this kind of area where that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great monologue. I enjoy this scene. Also, I just realized after talking about their nationalities that they made the Irish guy the drunkard. Like the alcoholic.
He certainly
he drinks a lot.
They sure did. A lot. They sure did,
They really did.
But you know what? I respect it.
But it never occurred to me before.
But I think he does really make the good point too, where it's like we have all of these facts and books and records and all this shit. And maybe it's like, what if you fucking solve how to fucking, like, you can't, like, quote unquote reverse it, but it's like, even if you stopped it, what are you going to do? Just fucking put the answer in this tomb? Like, there's no one left alive.
I'd try to find someone. But I mean, I get what he's saying, but I think he's a little extreme in his measures too. Fuck it all. I don't think is...
Well, just the abandoning hope. You know what I mean? I do like the fact that she's guided in some aspect of like the hope that humanity could survive something this cataclysmic.
Mm-hmm.
You know
and you have a job that gives you something to do. Like,
you're
gonna go to a beach. How long are you gonna survive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these other things.
Totally.
After this moment, we find that this is when I said Sarah is working on some lab shit, but has a headache or something. So she goes to get some medicine. She has a little spinny thing going on.
All the science makes my head hurt.
While doing this, she finds Ted working with a zombie, trying to feed it some like military beef in a can or something. Yeah. Dr. Logan pops in to explain that they're trying to satisfy the urge of the creature, that they can be tricked into being good little like boys and girls with the promise of a reward. And that's what like one of his...
The first shred of him slightly letting loose that he's a fucking lunatic.
Didn't we already did it? Am I not the only one who already thought that when he took the guy's head off that he had been working with and left his brain?
Yes, the first shred of a lunatic was, I think, the first scene with Dr. Frankenstein that we see.
Yes, that's very
But in
true.
that part, it's kind of like
it's like,
it was like, oh, maybe he's just funny. Maybe he's just,
it goes from like, I mean, he's
just an eccentric.
He's cartoonish. And again, I love this character, even though he's wild and horrible and a cartoon, essentially. I'm into it.
I love the actor, how he speaks and how he acts it out. I think is fabulous.
Yeah.
So I know that in the last installment, I was going to tell a story about for this one. It's specifically this. I met Dr. Frankenstein at a horror convention, and not a fucking soul wanted this man's autograph. He was like by himself the entire time. So like this was the same convention that I got my Part 7 hockey mask signed by Kane.
Oh, nice.
And Tom was there and a bunch of other stuff. I wound up, because I got dropped off there in high school, that I just sat around and I talked to Dr. Frankenstein for a good like hour.
Oh my God.
One of the nicest human beings on the fucking planet.
That's so cool.
That's
really cool.
And it was just cool.
Is that his real voice? Does he talk like that?
Like, oh,
whatever accent he's doing.
You know what's really funny is that like it's just a little vamped version of his actual.
It's pumped up.
What I mean, where it's like it's a little pumped up, but yeah, his cadence was the exact same. And I asked him about just like how was it filming fucking zombie movie, and like even for the asinine juvenile high school questions I was asking him, he was engaged the entire time and was just fucking stoked to talk.
Yeah,
to
and he
someone.
was probably
That's
stoked
so
that some
nice.
like kid knew the movie and wanted to talk to him. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Aw.
I don't have the same kind of.
do you dislike him? Because I could see him being bothersome.
Uh-oh.
That's
No,
why
I was about to
saying
say-
I liked him.
I was about to say I don't have the same kind of conversing skills, and as I was saying that, I kind of like
Sure.
glitched out of my brain and did not converse properly, so I laughed at
Ross is
that.
good at
Hey.
chatting.
But I was going to say it was similar to like when I saw Ken Forhey. I was like, there's nobody around him. Like I feel like I
Uh-huh.
probably could have hung
Done
out
the same
and
thing.
chatted
Hung
out
out
with him
and chatted.
a little
Aw.
bit. But nah, I ain't like
if you had
that.
a little more Ross in you, you
I
needed
need a
Ross
little
there.
bit more
You
Ross
need a
in
little
you.
Ross in you.
Now, at this point, Dr. Logan Frankenstein shows Ted and Sarah that Bub's been doing very well lately. Shows them some
Bub.
cool tricks. It's like when you get your new dog to learn some like new tricks. He's like, and you want to show it off. That's exactly what the doctor's doing here with Bub. But
Yeah.
then he gives him like a toothbrush, like a razor to shave, like a shaving razor, and a
Apparently,
book as well.
Bub was not into brushing his teeth when he
No,
was a
does not remember
no.
doing any of that.
I mean, do you see his teeth? Clearly, he was kind of into shaving. Picks that up. That always
Oof.
got me when he like nicks himself,
Mhm.
as we'll say.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then he picks up a copy of Salem's Lot and starts kind of opening it up and flipping through it and looking at the book.
Mhm.
Like it's a
Salem's
book.
Lot, written by Stephen King, who is a famous horror author. So that's a little Easter egg.
Who? What else has he done? I believe his name is
What?
Steve, right?
And now
Isn't
you
that
know.
Steve?
Yeah. Good old,
Good old
Steve.
Steve. So Logan's really, really excited about him picking up and checking the book. And we also make this observation of Dr. Frankenstein going into the room. And the big thing here is how Bub doesn't get excited or like want to actively try to eat him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
someone walks into the room.
Yeah.
And now Logan gives Bub a phone, tells him, to say hello, use the phone, say hello to Aunt Alicia. Bub kind of rumbles those
Yeah.
words out. So this is the first time a zombie, only time we really see a zombie speak.
Yeah.
To some
in these
extent.
movies.
Yeah.
I think he just got one of the good ones with Bub because I don't see the other zombies
Oh,
ever acting this docile. And I
one of the
I don't
good
know if
ones, huh?
Oh. This movie's changed you.
I get what you're saying, Cody. I
okay.
think Bub is an extraordinary specimen. I feel like that it's like
Yes.
one in 50, whatever, however many. You could get
Well-
a chance to domesticate it, but
without like major spoilers for Land, I feel that zombies in and of itself in the Romero universe have different tiers.
Okay.
a hierarchy
like-
of sorts.
A hierarchy of intelligence, as in like some of them have maintained
Mm.
personalities versus like blank slates. And you kind of see that specifically in this, where it's like you have characters that like Bub, who has echoes of kind of who they were, versus some of the other ones that are just purely just rage and
Mhm.
just like hunger
yeah.
and like brute
Well,
force.
and I do think that it's one of the flaws of like this whole concept of trying to domesticate the zombies is that they're just going to deteriorate over time because they're not alive bodies. So like eventually you're going to have a brain that doesn't have enough brain tissue to function. Like just like
Yeah.
biologically speaking,
It's probably going to take
But the-
forever.
well,
Who
but like
knows
maybe
how long
this
it
is
is because we
something.
do learn the decay is slower. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say,
Mhm.
maybe this is something we explore later on in the franchise, and I'm just getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But I just think this whole concept is interesting. That it almost seems like where a lot of other zombie franchises just make them like dead bodies that are attacking you and want to eat your brain. Like this seems to almost make it more like when you turn into a zombie, it just reduces you to your base animal brain that just thinks of like eat or attack.
That primordial goo.
Totally.
Which again, I never noticed
like lizard brain
as much
goo.
of that background, that exposition almost that we get from the doctor that first time about the decay rate of zombies. As soon as you become a zombie, your decay rate goes down exponentially, he said. And like a fresh one can last for like 10 to 15 years before decay really starts setting in or something. He even said something like that. And the brain is the last thing to start decaying, it sounded like, as well. So like it was just all to set up the fact that like this is why they can last so long, basically. But
I will say
I like the idea of a lot of that.
This scene solidified. I love Bub. I'm on his side. He cannot die. He cannot die in this movie.
Bub's the puppy. Oh yeah,
This is our salute
He's the
scene.
puppy.
this is our salute. He after the phone and the ant thing, he
Roads and
sees
soldiers
Rhodes.
come in. Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. And he goes to salute him, and Rhodes is like, I ain't saluting that puss bucket or whatever he calls him.
Mhm.
Like, I ain't doing none of that
Yes.
Plus bucket. Also another cum.
Oh,
Come receptacle.
Ooh.
puss bucket. Oh, it was a puss bucket kind of night. All right. Logan asks for Sarah's gun unloaded and gives that to Bub. Bub picks up the gun, cocks it, points it at Rhodes, and pulls the trigger. He's not a fan of Rhodes. we see.
Foreshadowing.
Rhodes isn't impressed by this.
And Bub we trust.
And Dr. Logan tries to explain that this is the first step towards civility, towards like, you know, bringing in what do we have if we aren't civil with each other? I think it's right after this moment or whatever we start seeing kind of more of Dr. Logan's, I guess, thought process unravel, like where it's all coming from. There's some like ingrained thing about being civil and civility, and like if we can't have that, who are we? What are we? Type of thing.
Starts like thinking out
What are
loud
we?
more so.
Yes.
So then we got to do some more zombie roundup here. Miguel we have some trouble with Miguel again. He loses control of one of the zombies during the roundup. He isn't
But this isn't
in
his
that much
fault.
control. Exactly. But the collar also breaks. That's the main
Yes.
problem here.
Mhm.
And one of the army dudes, because of this, gets his
It
throat
wasn't me.
chomped out, which is pretty sweet here. We get a real nice throat rip.
Ooh, yeah.
While he's getting
Yes,
munched
we
on,
do.
he's shooting his gum off, which kills another army dude. Miguel loses it. He attacks one of the zombies with his wrangle pole, and in that process gets his arm bit. We get a fucking sweet arm bite and rip. Miguel fucking runs off. Still, he's able to kill the zombie. He also shoots the throat and bitten dude in the head, killing him.
I don't want to turn out like this.
I was surprised he could
Don't.
talk or anything.
Right?
With his throat,
Yeah,
like,
I was not.
They were just gonna be like,
Miguel.
Murder me, please.
So Miguel's ended up running to John and Bill's place with Sarah chasing after him. He makes it there, runs into John, and Sarah knocks him out with a fucking giant rock.
damn,
man. She sure
concussion.
Like, twice in the head.
And then without hesitation.
I thought she was killing him.
Yeah, right? Like, what else you
I
doing
was
with a
like, I
giant
don't
fucking rock
remember
like
this.
that? But then without hesitation, she fucking grabs a machete off of John and holds out Miguel's arm and just fucking chops right into it. Apparently in the original effect was a rubber arm, and when she went to chop it would just like bounce right off. This was a wax arm, so that
And you could
Chops
see
right
his
into there.
fingers like moving during that scene when they were
It's
like
real
chopping
cool.
off the ham.
Yeah,
Ooh.
looks great. And this whole concept is something I thought about. Like, again, there's so much time between the movies. Was his name got bit in the last one, so I'm sure it was thought about. Like, what if you amputated it? Would that work? Like, I love that. That is, I'm sure, something people thought of and talked about, and he himself did, and put it in here.
Yeah,
it's like a
love
new deviation.
Yeah.
chop it before the infection can spread type of thing or whatever it is.
But didn't we learn in the last movie that everyone's already infected? Like everyone is infected, and you can.
Was that from
into a
the
zombie.
last one, or is that from the first one?
Well, maybe
Right.
it was even from the first one, but it does kind of counteract the existing lore in this universe that you don't get infected by the zombies. You'll die faster from a zombie bite, but
Right.
anyone who dies, regardless of how they die, if it doesn't involve removal of the head or brain in some way, they will rise again as a zombie. So chopping off the arm kind of doesn't make any sense here.
Well, if it's going to kill him, the infection.
Right.
Okay,
The way
true.
So it wouldn't infect him, and he would still be alive.
Well, I think it's also one of the more emotional things that she does during the movie, because like Rhodes is like, dude, I've seen bites 1,000 times, caught and amputated on the spot. Like, it doesn't change the fact that he's going to turn. You know what I mean? And like, she's so adamant about like, I will destroy him if that happens. We need to at least give it a chance.
And the burning it,
which I almost
with
feel
the
is like,
torch.
cauterizing the wound. I like that he was knocked the fuck out with a fucking rock, like Looney Tunes style. And then the second they sear that thing on, he's like,
Yeah, imagine waking up to that. Like, I'm sure he doesn't realize a lot of what's going on, but you're waking up to not having an arm anymore, getting seared shut.
Holy shit.
So Steele and Rhodes come running up. Steele says some real racist shit and wants to shoot Miguel. Rhodes also wants to shoot
We
him.
are officially broken up.
Sarah says she's got the infection in time. If he turns, she will shoot him herself. They agree to this, but they also let Sarah know that they ain't helping her, the doctors, anymore. They're done doing any of the kind of rounding up shit. They're going to go through the tunnels and I think like kill all the zombies, like take care of everything. We're done with this shit. You're on my shit list, Flyboy. That's what he says. So we get a Flyboy reference.
We get a
And we
Flyboy
also had
reference.
in the soundtrack before, there's a little like version of that.
Callback.
And then something about shopping malls about not being open anymore. So there's like, those were like the nudges at Dawn of the Dead type of stuff.
I do like in this scene that Rhodes, well, one, the fact that he was like, okay, fine, I won't do it, I think spoke a lot to a different side of his character that we haven't seen so far, and how he kind of tried to talk some sense into Sarah by saying like, do you think he really wants this? Do you think do you want that for him to turn into that? So it kind of gave a different side of him that we haven't seen so far.
A little humanity.
A little humanity, even though he's still a dick, there is some part where he's kind of understanding a smidge.
Yeah, because like it's like that shred of humanity where it's like it's still a soldier under his command. And being that like, hey, like literally a mercy killing at this point is going to be the best option.
Which is funny because
Like-
again at the end he says something racist and then abandons his men.
Oh
Yes.
Yeah.
That he does.
Deuces.
Then at this point, they take Miguel inside, get him cleaned up. Sarah needs to go to the lab. She needs morphine, some other supplies. Bill says he's going to tag along because those boys probably haven't calmed down yet. John says he will look for them in half an hour. He's like, half an hour? I'm going to come check you out if you're not back. Half an hour. They say half an hour a couple times.
I just realized we kind of touched on, or it's not at this part, is it? No, because they wouldn't been on their side yet, or they would have been against them. The part where she and Bill are walking down the hallway and the soldiers just burst through the door and they're brawling and they just kind of walk past him is so funny to me. I love that, like, and they just keep walking past him and the scene keeps going. It's just like something that they pass, and I love that was written in as to be going on and they just like don't give a fuck.
Right.
This takes us into the lab with Sarah and Bill gathering supplies. We see some more of the horrors of Dr. Logan's work. Decapitated head on a table, still unalive or something like that, doing like,
What are you on TikTok?
well, I didn't know what to call it because it's not dead.
What are you on TikTok?
No, I get it. I was making a joke. That's Greg Nicotero's head, right? I believe it is.
Oh, could be.
That is? Oh, shoot.
Yes.
Bill's like, I think we need to just leave. This is all over now. We should grab that helicopter. Helicopter.
Helicopter.
We should grab that helicopter before someone else does. While heading down the hallway, they see Dr. Logan go into a room to go see Bub. So they go into the little observation room to watch what the hell's going on. Bub's chilling. He has some headphones on. And the doctor, at this point, teaches him how to use this cassette player. Bub really likes this. He likes his music, learning to turn it on and off. He's really learning here. It's time to reward Bub. So Rhodes, at this point, he gives him a bucket of stuff.
Bucket of slop.
And then,
Meat bucket.
Meat bucket.
Like in... what's the Ken Everall movie with the meat buckets?
Baskin with the bucket of meat
Baskin.
cubes.
Yeah.
Pre-chewed meat cubes. At this point, Rhodes has come in, discovers Logan has been feeding soldiers' remains to Bub, leading to a very violent confrontation in which Rhodes executes Logan by shooting him the fuck up.
Shoots the shit out of him.
Like a lot. And takes Sarah, Ted, and Bill like just captive. And a half an hour must have gone by because John, I guess, goes out to check on what's going on. Rhodes and crew rolled up. Rhodes has Ted hostage.
Been waiting for John to leave because as soon as John leaves, Miguel's like gets up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Immediately goes
there.
into plan.
And we learn, Ted is being held hostage essentially by Rhodes. And he says, John needs to get that helicopter up and running. They're leaving. It's going to take them. Leave everyone else behind. We're going. Figure it out. John refuses. So Ted gets shot in the head for this.
Wow.
That surprised me. I don't know if you guys were shocked. I was shocked. I felt so bad for the guy.
Well, up until that point, there had been like threats of that kind of violence, but not
actually going for it.
For better choice of words, he never actually pulled the trigger. And he absolutely did.
For sure.
Like, you won't. And he did.
Oh,
he did it. He did it. Rhodes orders Steele and Rickles to stick Bill and Sarah in the zombie gate trapper thing, essentially sending them off into the tunnels. Steele beats up on John a bit. John keeps refusing to fly. Suddenly, they hear the alarm for the elevator going off. Next, we see Miguel is riding the elevator up to the ground level. At this point, Bub is also figured out how or accidentally unpins the chain
like
from his
licking
wall.
the blood off his chain, I think.
He's like,
yeah, some blood bits got on there.
And I guess it makes sense that it doesn't need to be that secure. Like, what is a zombie going to turn around and undo it? Although Bub, by that point, you could think might be able to figure it out, but other zombies aren't going to pop out that little bolt.
And that adorable zombie, he literally was like, why? He's like, oh shit, someone
back on the wall.
My chain came off.
My chain came off. Is anyone around? Hello.
Sarah and Bill still trapped in the tunnels, fight off zombies. Bill kills a zombie with a shovel. That's fucking awesome. Where this kill is so cool. And a lot of the tunnel shots are really cool because you get that red and blue
lighting
going on in here. There's a lot of really cool, fun, tricky shots going on, which is zombies in foreground.
I wonder what movie that he directed before this with red and blue lighting.
There's your creep show.
Helped him.
Inspirations here.
And
that shovel kill is fucking awesome. That turns into the zombie head rolling away and then being upside down, and you see it like blinking and looking around.
Looking around. It's so good. This is when like the start of like the ramping of the gore, because like from here on out
mayhem
it like goes up and up and up and up, and then just chaos.
Well, I like the evolution of the gag from Dawn. So like in Dawn, we get the machete in the head, where it's the actor with like the carved out machete.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And then in this one, we have a hint of it with Miguel's arm, but then taking the same concept and doing it with a shovel in the mouth of one is just like such a fucking cool way of again, repurposing the old gag. You know
there's
what I mean?
3 levels to it. You know, it's like first the shovel gets stuck in the mouth, like all the way down, and you're like, oh, and then in the skull, boom, the top of half gets flicked off, and then
And you get to watch
that
it
shot where they're
tumble
running
away, and then
yeah. So
good stuff. Good job, Romero and team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I
do you
also was just horrified for our characters in this moment because at any
Sergio's over here
moment,
like, I was terrified. What's going on?
I
And
was
we're like,
cool
when this happened.
I was shitting my
No,
pants.
that was really cool, especially that angle of the head upside down and you see them running past and they're just like looking around. But I was worried because I love these at this point. I love these characters. And
based on what you've seen before, I'm sure you're probably sitting there like, I
One of them
don't
is
know
gonna get
where
bit.
this could go. Night of the Living
yeah.
Dead,
Somebody's gonna
everyone
die.
died. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I was very nervous.
that's fun. That's a cool experience. John's able to get on the upper hand on Rhodes at this point, knocks him out,
Fuck yeah.
takes a couple of his guns. He thinks about shooting him, but then sees a dead Ted and is like, nah, that ain't me, man. That ain't me. and goes off.
John, what a great character. It's
So good.
Love John. Steele and Rickles get to the elevator, find the controls are all fucked up. The guts have been ripped out. Can only be operated from the top side at this point. Rickles like, fucking fix it, man. The manual's right here. Just
what
fix
do you
it.
want me to do? It's
There's
all
nothing
gone.
in here. It's gone.
No,
I feel they were
question.
shouting at each other so much in this scene. I was like, did they film this scene and then film the first scene we
rest of
see
the-
at the corral? Because
They had the same energy.
yeah.
Yeah. It should have been ramping up to this scene. So controls all fucked up. John, he goes into the tunnels to find Bill and Sarah. Again, a lot of really cool shots of John just fucking like in the foreground, zombie in the like just how they're doing the juxtaposition between the shots and setting this up of him just going through and just blasting zombie heads off and stuff. A lot of really fun, cool shots there.
Well, this is the scene where he takes a swig of his alcohol and then sees like a shadow of a zombie. He's like, oh fuck, and then goes to hit it and he goes like, well, he barks. He barks at one of the zombies, I
Oh
think.
boy. I believe you. I just don't remember it. But yeah, so it's a lot of John going through, Bill and Sarah as well, fucking still trying to get in there, of them trying to meet up. They haven't met up or anything in there yet. Miguel, we learn at this point, is going to sacrifice himself by allowing the zombies to overrun the base and creating chaos inside. So he's going to open up the gate, essentially allow them to all come in. We get
Now, is this like a part of his, just where his mental state is, or is this something like he's like everyone else should die, like, or is this mostly him like a suicide mission?
I think this is him trying to redeem himself in some aspect. I think
So he's trying to help them out.
I think so. I think that's the goal here. I think he thinks everything's already fucked, right? And
honestly, I always interpreted him just kind of being like, fuck all of you people.
Well, yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
this. And like, because I don't think, because the only reason I say that is
I guess, why not?
realistically, he fried the
because
elevator.
he would screw over
So
Sarah
once that
also
thing's
at this
down-
point too, knowing that.
They're all just trapped down.
Yeah, I guess why not? Yeah. Never thought of that. I thought he was trying. Well, yeah. Sure.
'Cause I did want to seem like he was doing like a hero moment here by being like, okay, I'm bringing them down and fucking you guys over. But then I think about it, I was like, oh, but you also are putting Sarah in danger as well. So at this point, because you don't know where Sarah is. So at this point,
Right.
I think you're kind of
Yeah, you're not wrong.
saying fuck it to everybody.
The dangers of unchecked mental health.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just
There
being
you
like,
go.
A lot more racist ass shit going on here, but Miguel's able to get eaten up while drawing the zombies into the elevator, lowering them into the base. Rhodes and another one of the soldiers roll up at this point right before the elevator is coming down. It comes down and we get that platform of all these fucking zombies. Rhodes runs the fuck of the away
It's
than
cool.
the rest of the army guys do. Yeah, this shot I love. Do you think this is like that pre-programming in when as you would when you were a human, you would stand on an elevator and not move until it came off? that they're just like going with what they knew when they were humans? Because why do the zombies
think
not
so.
move? Why do they wait for this? I get why.
There's that one that
There
comes
one
off
that
towards
one-
the end. That's
Yeah.
very funny.
But it seems like as soon as it would open, they would just start like
Now let's
stumbling
go.
and falling
You're
off,
right,
going
yeah.
towards.
It's because they're not CGI.
Right.
Exactly. So I didn't saw these zombie extras
But
waiting.
I do love that when we finally
It's a
get that
great
big
shot.
wide shot. Oh, so good.
It's awesome. It looks good too. I think it does look. It's a more interesting look than I think of zombies falling off of it and what we would think to do. Saw them
Right.
gathered
Mhm.
together and that one stumbling off to initiate it. I think just works very
We just
well.
need
and
one.
looks cool.
We just need one.
Mhm.
And I love the blending of having just base makeup, prosthetic makeup, and then the third tier in the background using latex masks because they all
Ooh.
blend really
Yeah.
well together. Because like there's a great shot of all of the masks, Savini behind all the masks that were used in Day of the Dead. It doesn't like you have to really look to like see that they're like latex
Mhm.
masks. You know what I mean? Like they're done so well, but
I
also
had
what
no
a
idea.
convenient
Yeah.
thing to do. Because I mean, if you have a 30-year group, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, just throw a mask.
Mhm.
At this point, Bub has found Logan's body and he's sad. He mourns his death and he has decided to seek some revenge.
Yeah,
This
his
is
brother
so
was chained to
sad.
be plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
This is like
home.
his Simba Mufasa moment. He's like,
It is. And I
Dad.
want to tell him, you know what? This guy sucked.
oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's not that bad. Like, yeah, this guy wasn't that good. There's better ones. One of the soldiers gets cornered by zombies, and this is when they get their head ripped off. And I said, "Holy shit! I forgot that we get a head ripped off."
So fucking good.
Oh my god! Just the and then
The
as
noise,
his
the fucking-
as his
yeah.
vocal cords get ripped apart.
It gets high.
That screech. Oh,
There's a
God.
there's a guttural
That was
feel to
good.
something like that. There,
That was
it's
good.
good.
Yeah, it was
I like
gnarly.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Next, Rickles gets cornered and ripped apart while laughing at first. And then his eyes just gets ripped out. He gets his fingies
Like,
munched on, and then he
they
just gets all
His
ripped and
fingies.
pulled apart. Yeah, his poor
I
little
like that
fingies.
each of their
Yeah.
deaths are different. It's nothing repetitive. Everyone
Yeah.
dies a different way.
Yeah.
I guess he gave this movie 3 fingers.
Yeah. Sitting on that, I love it.
Actually, when you mentioned it, the
Top of the
finger
dome?
biting, I was like,
Is that top of the
"Ooh."
dome?
Well, I make that joke every time somebody loses fingers in a movie we watch. So it's kind of loaded, but not at the same time.
Okay. Loaded and on the hip, ready to go. Now, only Steel is left, and he shoots a few zombies before coming to a door that Rhodes locked. Freaks out, starts yelling at Rhodes. And then he shoots the door open, runs inside. This allows all the zombies to come in as well. Running through the halls, he runs into Bub, who has a gun. Bub shoots at Steel. Misses as Steel ducks into a room. So he's trying to like lure Bub in there. But surprise, the room already has some zombies in it, and they chomp on him a bunch. He shoots a few before he decides to turn the gun on himself and shoots himself in the head. This is
Pretty
I don't want,
graphic.
I thought
There
this
should
was
have been
lame.
a warning for that. You thought it was lame?
Mhm.
I didn't like
Or
it.
like that he
I-
got off easy?
yes.
Well,
In
he
that
was.
aspect, I wanted him
say the
to
worst
run out of
one.
ammo and then get ripped apart. He deserved, yeah.
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 He didn't deserve
Absolutely.
to
To
go
get
the
off
easy way out.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel in a bigger budgeted version, he tries to like shoot himself,
Yes.
but just blows his lower jaw off or something like
And he's
that.
still
and
alive,
then
and
they
he's
all
just
just
like,
rip him
"Oh,
apart
no."
anyways.
Sure. John finally finds Sarah and Bill, and they shoot up a few more zombies. They're able to find this back way to this like service room with this other elevator that's not working. There's a ladder they can climb up.
It seems like it
Silo,
abuts like
yeah.
a missile silo or something because like they climb out.
Okay,
of
so
a
that
missile
yeah,
silo.
so then that's one of those Florida missile silos.
Yeah. I've been to a Florida missile
those good old
site.
Seminole County missile
Uh-huh.
silos.
John, oh wait, I just said that. Rhodes now he's found a room with some more guns. He grabs a gun, grabs some ammo, runs into Bub. Luckily for Bub, Rhodes wasn't able to load up his gun yet, So he shoots at Rhodes, misses. Rhodes runs the fuck away. Shoots off another round. This one hits Rhodes in the shoulder. So Bub got a shot in, which is fun. Rhodes runs off some more. Bub fires again. This time gets him in the leg, and we get Rhodes like fucking crawling around trying to get down and escape out of this hallway. Tries one of these doors, but that door's locked. He tries the last door in the hallway, and that one's full of
weird,
zombies.
like straggling.
Dude, that shot of looking at Rhodes with all the hands coming in.
Oh yeah,
is so good.
I love it.
And from this point on, I feel so bad for the actor that played Rhodes.
Oh yeah, was this really tough for him?
Do you have the behind the scenes on this kill? So
no.
So apparently Savini had a bunch of
was this what in terms of the stench?
Because he had put them in a refrigerator.
Okay, I thought like he got like hurt or something like that. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So at this point, all the hands come out, like Sam said. Fucking beautiful shot, amazing setup. I fucking love all of that, and that leads to Bub shooting him in a gut shot, which allows the zombies to pull in, fucking rip Rhodes apart, take him out. So I got a bunch of stuff, a few different IMDb behind the scenes for Rhodes here. Joseph Pilato, his line "choke on them" as he's being ripped apart by the zombies is ad lib, so he threw that in there, which is great.
I will give him that. That's badass. Yeah, going out like that and say "choke on him."
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I hope I go out like that. I'm in hospice.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Slowly dying.
Choke on him.
In the Blu-ray edition, interviews Joe Pilato referring to his gruesome death scene involving pig intestines that were rotten due to the refrigerator being unplugged. Says that he can still smell them to this day. So those were real pig intestines that were being stored in a refrigerator that got unplugged, essentially. And
that's like rotten fucking.
Think about the actors who had to touch it and rip it out.
That's true.
Okay, so all the other zombies were able to shove like mortician's wax up their nostrils to kind of like forego the smell. But because of the angle that they're shooting it, they couldn't plug Rhodes's nose with anything.
Yeah, because we'd see it.
So he had to like full fucking bore. So he had to deal with the stench and all the other. But apparently, I guess some of the zombies were also like dry heaving.
Oh, I'm sure. There's no hide in that. I mean, it gets in there.
Yeah.
You pay those $2.
Those are the $2 zombies. Well, if you look closely, as Rhodes is torn in half, you'll see a large section of his innards is a blood-covered rubber chicken. I looked for it. There's definitely something in there that looks like, I'm like, yeah, I see that. That could be a rubber chicken. That's fun. Chicken. And the zombies who attack and feast on Captain Rhodes are played by Hermie Granati, David Granati, Joey Granati, and Rick Granati of the Pittsburgh rock band The Granati Brothers, otherwise known as G-Force.
I think we were going to go down like they were like a mafia family. Like,
I don't know, some local rock band played specifically played these zombies. And then we get a lot of zombies eating, feasting, fucking blood and guts everywhere, all over this place now, of them just eating and having a good time.
Yeah, and
having a good
time. And around this, as all the zombies are coming in, is another great time to see all the individual zombies that like have their own personality. Yes. I do want to give an honorable mention to one of them specifically. There's a ballerina zombie that walks in, and the zombie is walking on point.
Yes,
on point shoes.
That is one of the trivia scenes, trivia points I saw on IMDb as well. That's the only reason I know it. And I saw it. I looked for it.
Kudos to them.
Yeah. It's just cool because it's just another reminder of that. Like, there's a little bit of human still in them. They remember a little bit of what they used to be.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is on. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh no, I was just saying this is unrelated to that. But like, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, or if it means something else. But do you think that the hands coming at Rhodes is a little bit calling back to the very first shot or the very first scene as like a foreshadowing kind of moment?
Yes.
I love it. I didn't know if that first scene was like calling to something else or it meant something different, but I like that kind of connects a little bit.
I don't even know if it's necessarily foreshadowing so much as referencing each other.
Okay.
Agreed.
Because I don't know that that's supposed to be that's coming because it's a moment that happens to Sarah.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, remember that cool arm shot we got? Here's another cool arm shot.
And just playing with that a little bit. The biggest foreshadowing moment with Rhodes is when Bub points the gun at him and shoots him with the empty clip. And then we obviously get that here. So Sarah, John, Bill narrowly escape the bunker, run up to the helicopter. John starts untying some shit. He's like, go in there, get in there. Sarah opens the door. And this would be kind of like, I guess, because we do get, isn't it like hands right onto her face? So this is almost kind of showing back to that, which turns out to be a dream.
Still a dream.
Because then she wakes up on the beach.
It was all a dream.
This makes me so mad. I hate it was all a dream tropes usually. Every once in a while, if it like works in the story, I can forgive it. But this in particular, you can't give me the setup at the beginning of the movie where she's like, no, don't fuel it up. They're getting too riled up, and then not fulfill that later. Like there's no consequence to choosing to leave the helicopter empty, and it just bothers me.
Why include that at all if it's not gonna be an issue?
Sure.
Like, nope, we made it out.
Like, was it just a throwaway line to say that merely the sight of alive humans makes the zombies upset?
Maybe.
Could be.
I mean, I think John has a don't they have a throwaway line towards the end? Like, well, I sure hope they filled up that chopper.
Yeah, exactly. They did
But it's
that,
in the dream.
and then it's just
well,
like,
is it though? What part is the dream, not the dream type of thing?
This
I
is
don't
where
know
I
at what point.
As soon as we start seeing that, it's the dream.
Okay.
Are we like in canon that they do make it out alive? Like, is this last part actually happening, or is this like a heaven kind of aspect, or like they're in limbo? Or
No, I think I took it as
as
they make it out.
happening.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
So
feel
they
like she's just
actually made
having
it
a
out.
nightmare of what led up to them ultimately escaping, and it ends
She's
with
been having nightmares. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
what probably happened is she did run up to that door. I imagine that she ran up to the helicopter and opened it and just went inside is what
Yeah.
happens
same.
in real life. So everything the same way happens up to that moment, and they got away. And now, fishing, hanging out, and we get our fucking song and the end.
Nice.
Romero had originally planned for all the zombies to perish in a massive explosion when they stumbled across explosive chemicals in the laboratory. Meanwhile, one of the crew members who had died during the attack was to have stayed dead and not come back as a zombie, thereby giving hope to the survivors. So someone was supposed to have died and not come back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. You mentioned the song. I just want to say, so since we were talking about it, John Harrison did the music for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else he did the music for?
What?
Creep Show.
Oh. That's why I like it so much.
There you go.
And Waxwork did put this out, but it's sold out. Who knows how long that's be?
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts before we get into our questions?
This is, I do. All three of them, I feel like, have their social commentary and something to say. But I feel like this one is the most sort of, it almost feels like a play. Like it's really sort of idea driven and more concept, like thinking about living in this world and exploring that. It's just, in a way, I think it's the slower and most boring of them, even though the first one is just stuck in a house. I also find it in a way the most interesting.
It's a nice cabin fever kind of zombie film.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sam. And with that, we'll go ahead and go into our break. All right, let's go ahead and clean up with some questions here. How would we survive this one, and would we survive at all? So we're stuck in a bunker. I assume, based on how we are, I don't think we're racist army guys.
No.
So I think we're hanging out the other crew. We're in the trailer out.
We're in the Ritz.
We're at the Ritz.
Yeah, we're at the Ritz for sure. Drinking it up.
For some reason, our skill set is they need some horror podcasters there
to commentate on everything that's happening right now.
Hey man,
We
you
have the
always need
equipment.
someone in IT around. I'm valuable.
It's very true.
Ross is tattooing people.
That's very valuable in the apocalypse. Are you kidding? I'm going to get a face tattoo finally.
Oh yeah,
Cody, I think you would piss them off though, because you're like a safety
that's
person.
Not regulation.
So you were like that regular. Yeah, they're like, this is not fucking working right now.
OSHA doesn't exist anymore, asshole.
You call this a zombie corral?
Yeah. See, this is a tough one just because we're dealing with like post-apocalyptic world where I'm like, I feel like we could hunker down for a while, but not indefinitely.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think personally, I think if we didn't have the conflict of if we had this location
trying to find a cure
and we weren't tasked with being or working with crazy scientists or having these kind of army people dictating us, I'm just basing us in this location and one of us knowing how to fly this helicopter. I think we could do well. Because again, I think we would put some more barrier up around our, and that thing only didn't hold because Miguel let them in. Realistically, if you look at it,
get some pickaxes that go out there periodically, take some down.
Yeah, exactly. You get it like a long ass
bike drill.
Yeah, so you could do some stuff like that, and we wouldn't have rounded up any on the inside. Think like right, so we don't have any in the tunnels or the caverns, right?
Oh hell,
at that point, So that's a very secure location.
This is an ideal zombie apocalypse situation.
Imagine it. Yeah, imagine if we got the hookup with the people at the mall, so we could do like a little something there, like so we could fly a helicopter out
once a month. We go meet them,
exploring, and rations
from Sarasota to the Everglades. I mean, we could find a bunch of shit, and
that's 5 counties.
I am okay. So I like the fact that Dawn, they made the realization that if one person was the flyboy, that if he died, everybody'd be fucked. I like the fact that in a military compound, nobody had that thought. And nobody was like, no, he's just the dude. We'll just let him just sit out in his RV and hang out.
They weren't thinking that. Everyone had their roles.
Yeah.
Their work to the bone. So I don't know, man.
I'm going to give it to us.
I think we could do it, guys.
I feel confident about this one.
Me too.
Wonderful. Do you guys want to make this one gooier? Does it need to be gooier?
I'm going to say no.
I could go for a little more goo. Just like I'm
going to say a little more consistency. Like, we don't need it to get any more intense. It's as intense as it can get, but there's some dull periods.
A little more consistent, and I would do it's kind of the salt to taste time thing. There is a lot of gore, but there's not a lot of like splatter blood gore. It's mostly like dumped organs. Yeah. And like, even when they're getting pulled apart, there's not a lot of like, there's blood, but there's not a lot of blood.
You want it to like,
I feel like if you gave me just a few more quarts, like, nothing crazy.
Through the throat. Gosh,
this movie Ross already gave it 5 for intensity, but he's still adding to it.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's go ahead and go with our villain level here. This one's tough.
The military complex,
military industrial complex. I think zombie design. I don't know, the zombie horde themselves. They're tough, strong.
Awesome
they're smarter. Maybe they at least have some.
They can shoot you.
I
also love that the guy that. Well, I guess he ultimately does get eaten by zombies, but he gets shot up a bit by a zombie first, which is such a turn, like complete turn. Yeah. I know that actually, now that you say it, or now that I say it, I remember people not liking Day of the Dead for that. Like a zombie
a zombie shooting?
Yeah. I remember hearing people complain about that.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Back in the day.
Makes sense.
Power
level, I'll give them a 2. Again, I think we've given that to kind of zombies before, that they're a little bit stronger. And since these ones can retain, they're definitely stronger, but in also retaining some level of functionality with things. Iconography, that's tough because I love them, but they do. Well, no, there are a lot of individual ones here. I don't know. They kind of blend into. I don't know. What are you giving for iconography then, Sam? What do you think?
Well, if I'm just going on Bub, it's like
It's true.
Oh, that's
But
true.
is he a villain?
that's
Or is he
also
like
true.
the anti-hero?
Yeah, no, it's
Shit.
pretty. Bub is iconic as hell. So
Yeah.
that's true.
And it's the zombie from the movie. But
Yeah,
is
man.
he a villain is a good point as well.
I don't think I would count him in the horde of zombies, though.
So
as
can
like a
we
villain.
not count
Because-
him towards iconography?
Because you know what Bub also doesn't do after he kills someone? Eats them.
Mhm.
He doesn't go over and
He
He just
consume.
walks away.
Yeah. He's broken free of that consumerism lifestyle, man.
He's like, I got
Sand it
a
up.
meat bucket waiting for me.
Yeah, he's gonna go to his meat bucket that his doctor gave him.
I am my artisanal free range scientist back in the fridge at home.
He's gonna be like a cat and go eat his owner. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
wait, cats eat their owners?
Oh
if
yeah.
they die, it's like it's someone who doesn't have anybody to check on them.
Guaranteed the cat's gonna eat your face.
Oh,
You're
no.
living
Cat's not
alone.
missing a meal.
Yeah, the cat's not gonna miss any meals.
The person will start to become the food.
Yeah.
I did think one time our dog like nibbled on my finger, and I was like,
Just a little
"Dude,
too much.
Are you going to now like the taste of me? Like, when does that happen?"
The answer's yes.
Yes.
All right. I don't know what to do for this villain level. It's high, but
Iconography.
yeah,
Joe.
iconography. Sure.
Yeah. Well, iconography, I think it's a little, they're more iconic. I mean, it's weird because like in Dawn, they're Smurfs.
Yeah.
So like
It
that's
makes them more
its own
iconic.
kind of
Yeah.
iconic.
See, these ones
And
kind of
with
blend
Day-
into typical zombie for me. That's why it loses their iconography a bit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Same here. I
Which
think.
is so funny because like there's more tech work done to
They
these
look great.
zombies.
They're awesome.
Like
I
prostate.
think
Yeah,
they
exactly.
look better than the zombies in Dawn because
Mhm.
they are like a Smurf blue.
right.
I'm gonna
yeah.
give it a 0.5 up, 2.5 because of that opening zombie.
Yeah,
Day
that
of the
guy's
Dead
great.
zombie.
Ooh, true.
That was iconic.
Tongue.
Dr.
Tongue-along.
Tongue.
Dr. Tongue.
Doctor.
Love it. All right. So
Dr.
does
Feelgood.
this movie deserve a sequel? What's the sequel you want to see?
I would love to have a sequel of Bub getting out of like just a
That follows Bub.
standalone thing. Yeah, because he's almost like, I mean, not, it's kind of like the zombie version of a daywalker. Like obviously he still has the compulsion to eat human
He's gonna need to
bodies.
do it at some point.
He's going to need
Is
it.
he?
Well, maybe he doesn't
Oh,
need
that's
because they
true.
said the fact that
I think that's the point.
So,
So
like,
like,
if
it
he's-
might be the point they're
Right.
trying to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
so if he's
Very-
broken the cycle, just have Bub like I don't know the zombie messiah.
Yeah.
Get out of there and like what would happen if he like was converging with other zombies and
He
like
teaches them.
teaching.
Yeah.
The Church of
Yeah.
Bub.
That's
Ooh.
I don't.
That's
I'm not
it.
even gonna suggest a sequel because I want that.
That's the sequel right there. That's what it's called.
I personally would go down the Chucky route,
Bub
which
of
will
the
be
Dead.
like Bride of Bub, where he meets his significant other,
Bride of Bub.
Bride of Bub, who
I
could
want
be
that too.
human, and then
Ooh.
another sequel, which is
Sexy
then
zombie
Son
stuff.
of Bub. No,
Mm,
Seed of
pregnant wife
Bub.
of Bub.
You do it,
yes.
do it like the Universal movies.
Yeah,
Pus buckets of Bub.
plus now that hold up right there. That's
That's-
actual
Likes
pus
it.
right
There we
there.
go.
No, that's a movie.
I think all of those are great ideas. I think we know the answer to this one. Would you buy the soundtrack or score on vinyl?
Fuck yes.
Yes.
I already looked for a
absolutely.
copy while we
love
were
this.
talking about this.
I
Yeah,
love
that
this
one's
score.
So
I
good.
can't. I'm gonna start putting it up on the background while I work.
It's a good one to have there. You're going to be thinking about zombies in your underground bunker. Is anything action figure worthy? 100% Bub is
Bub.
very action figure worthy. Some sort of rip apart playset of soldier rip apart. I don't know. That'd be fun.
I mean,
Yes.
that was going to be my suggestion.
What if what
Nice.
if it was like a Guts version of like a Rhodes but as a Stretch Armstrong?
There you go. That'd be
You
interesting.
just pull him
Oh,
apart
wait.
until he like rips
That's
in half
cool.
That could be fun.
with a pull string. Choke on it.
That's beautiful. Any other action figures anyone wants? You don't have to.
Dr. Tongue.
Oh,
I want a
Dr. Tongue would
Dr.
be dope.
Tongue
That'd be cool.
like
And there's a thing on the
um,
back so you can control his tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got distracted because I was looking at
I can
soundtracks again. You can get the Waxwork vinyl on Amazon from a seller for $70.99.
Whew.
Oh.
Yeah, sounds about right.
All right.
What merch or prop would you want from this film?
Ooh. Bub's Walkman. When he listens to classical music.
So it's not a Walkman. I looked. It's like a big tape deck, but it's
like a tape deck thing. Yeah. Or honestly, the scene grosses me out, but the razor with like the
razor itself
skin.
would be, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Get the whole
Too
Ritz.
small.
The Ritz? You want the whole set of the Ritz?
The whole set.
I was gonna ask for the
That's
sign.
a good one.
For
Nice.
the Ritz.
Mm-hmm. Also, the fucking newspaper.
Oh yeah,
The Dead
Mhm.
Walk would be a great one too.
the whirly bird.
Ooh.
The live
Take the
alligator.
Whirly Bird, the live alligator. All of those are good
if
options.
they
I'll take
came
the golf
out-
cart.
When did Operation come out as a thing?
It's probably out at this point. Operation seems like a
I
real
would-
I would do
70s
like a-
game.
Day of the Dead Operation board that they make.
Oh my god!
Yeah, like the theme.
Yes.
You take out little guts.
If you mixed Operation with what was it? Don't Wake Daddy, the one where the thing pops up. So if you're doing the operation
Wake
and then
Bubby.
if you fail, it tilts up and all of its guts spill out.
Yes. I like
That's
that.
fun. That's fun. Perfect. And is there any sort of promotional popcorn bucket for this film that stands out to
gosh.
Oh, a shovel head flipped upside down.
you? I mean,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's
Perfect.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
it. All right. With that, let's do this.
I only want your fingers.
Should we all cut our fingers open and bleed on it?
Can you wrap your fingers around this?
I'll take a Voorhees burger and a side of Jason's fingers.
Show them.
It's now time to pull out our machetes as we rate this film on our Chuddle scale. On this show, we like to use our subjective rating scale of 0 to 5 fingers. Each cut off finger adds to the score, with more fingers equaling a higher score. Sam, then Ross, then myself is how we are going to do it tonight. Then obviously I'll jump over to you, Cody and Sergio. But Sam, kick us off.
All right. So this is tough.
Ruh-roh.
Right off the bat for engaging, this might be like, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever made it through this movie without falling asleep. And like one single viewing.
Yeah,
Maybe if I
beautiful
watched
viewing.
it with people, I'm sure I would have then. But I've tried to revisit this recently and fallen asleep a few times. And then both my watches for this, I fell asleep during. And it made me recall that I fell asleep to it a lot back in the day. That being said, I don't find it unengaging. I'm always, when I'm conscious, I'm very interested in what's going on. So it's tough to figure out what to put there, but I feel like I can't give it a 1. I almost want to go as low as a 0.5, but I'm going to do 0.75. See where the score shakes out. So right off the bat, yeah, I fall asleep there's something about this movie that makes me sleepy. Maybe it's all the gray tones. It feels comfortable somehow, this movie, the music and everything. Sticky, I'll give a 0.5 to, because I had seen this a few times, fell asleep during them all, but I definitely always finished it, you know what I mean, as I did these watches. And but it's been a long time, and I remembered a lot of general stuff. I remembered Bub, the underground, this and that, but certain things caught me by surprise, or like I didn't remember till they happened, type of thing. So I'm gonna give a 0.5 there. T-shirtable is a full 1. There's a ton of cool stuff that could be from this movie. The poster itself is fine, but I wouldn't go for that. But yeah, you can make a million cool t-shirts. When I see one, I plan to get one. Cockles, I will give a full 1 to, for the same reason why it's easy for me to fall asleep during it is the same reason why the cockles are high. It just kind of, I don't know, you get in and
cozy.
feel kind of, yeah, it's cozy for some reason. Even though we talked about how it's not cozy because of the like the Ritz seems so cozy compared to the rest of it, the movie itself feels cozy. And rewatchable, I'm also going to give a 1-2, even though I went a long time without watching it. I do feel like I'll revisit this when I get the chance. It's hard because I'm always trying to watch stuff I haven't seen, but yeah, I'm into it, and it goes to the watchable thing. I don't know, it earns a 1 there, and I want to pick up my score from the low beginning. So it gives it a 4.25, which is fine. I felt like maybe it could have gone higher. I knew I want to get a 5, but I thought maybe I'd be at a 4 or 5. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Nice.
A lot of nothing. Ross.
All right. Engaging's gonna get a 0.75. I'm usually mostly engaged in this movie, but I do fall under the same pitfalls, is that this is comfort food movies for me, and in doing so I get disengaged faster because I've seen it so many times at this point. You know what I mean? So like, it's just, I don't know, it's home. It's like a blanket, and sometimes you fall asleep when you're in the blanket. So 0.75. Sticky's gonna get the full 1 because just all of the fucking zombie death scenes in this are fucking wild. And also just like all the bub scenes to me are just like triple decker peanut butter sandwich sticky. T-shirtable also going to get a 1. There's so much cool stuff you could have with a Day of the Dead t-shirt.
Have you ever had a Day of the Dead t-shirt?
I had a Bub t-shirt that was like a profile one with like him with his like headphones on that just kind of had like Day of the Dead and like silhouettes of zombies underneath it. But it was hilarious. I wore that shirt, had that shirt for less than a year and destroyed it. Like, it's like, this is my everyday shirt. What do we got? Cockles. Cockles is also going to get a 1. For me, this movie explodes the cockles. Yes. This is, yeah, man. And then also goes to like rewatchable. Rewatchable is also going to get a 1. This was a real close 5 for me. I think it's just some of the stuff is a little disengaging, but like this is on the Mount Rushmore of zombie films, as in like this is. Bubs to me is as important as any of the other Romero creations. I think that like the ideas in here are just insane and amazing, and just like it's a cornerstone of zombie watching, particularly just like these kind of zombies. You know what I mean? Like the slow moving, lurching, like this is so yeah, 4.75, and I feel comfortable with that.
Great, thank you. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It gets 1s across the board for me. I'm going to give it a 5. I really enjoyed it on this watch. I didn't think I was going to give it going in, but I was engaged. I remembered everything that was going to happen, so it's definitely stuck with me. T-shirtable cockles, you know our things. 1s, 5. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Guess. That's you, Cody and Sergio.
Me. Guess 1.
Guess
all
1.
Right. All right. So engaging. I feel like I need to give this a 0.5. I liked the movie overall. I liked some of the themes that we get to explore, but I don't feel comfortable giving it a 1 compared to how some of the other movies that we have covered have really sucked me in. Sticky, I'm going to give this a 1. Because of all of these themes that they explored. I thought that was super cool. That's going to stick with me. Obviously the gore, like that opening title card of just no jaw zombie. Ugh. That's not going away anytime soon. I think T-shirtable, I'm also going to give it a 1. There's just so many iconic zombies that you could pick. You could pick title card. You could do, in my head, I'm kind of thinking of 2 T-shirts that are both just like very me centric. I think that I would do like a a shirt featuring a bunch of the individual zombie styles of like all of them breaking in through the door. Like you get the ballerina zombie who's walking on point. You get the bride. You get like all these zombies that are clearly like
With
representative of
professions.
who they used to be.
Yes.
And then I also, and this might be a really deep cut, but I would want a t-shirt that's kind of like a crossover with Young Frankenstein, where you have at the end of Young Frankenstein, you have the show that Frankenstein's monster is doing, but him and
Yes.
Bub touring together.
Oh, that's so
cute.
good.
So I think that would be my other t-shirt. It would be like that Halloween costume that you have to explain to everybody because it only makes sense to you, but I don't care. I want it.
Hell yeah.
Cockles gets an automatic one because of Bub. He's just the best. And rewatchable, I'll give this a 1. I'd rewatch it. So yeah, I think 4.5 feels good for me.
Hell yeah. Nice. All right,
Nice.
Sergio. You're
All
up.
right.
Sergio.
Engaging. I'm gonna give it a 0.75. I think I was engaged pretty much all throughout. I know there was like definitely some lull time in between, but I feel like there's definitely, like for most part, it definitely picks up towards the end. And I think I've been fully engaged throughout it all. So I'll give that 0.75. I said yes. Sticky one. A lot of it has stuck with me. I remember there's just so much about it that I am still imagining and it's coming to mind. And there's just been a lot of iconic stuff that happens in the movie. So, and the gore, I think overall top tier for me. So I'm going to give it a 1. T-shirtable. I actually just looked online. Terror Threads has like 6 designs of Day of the Dead and they all look freaking awesome. So yes,
Nice.
I will be wearing one of those at some point. So I'm gonna give it a 1. I feel like you can definitely do a lot with this movie. 4 Cockles, Bub alone. I love him. He's so charismatic with saying so little, but there's just so much that he does. And plus I love Sarah. I love Sarah's character and her dynamic. I think she really saved it for me, besides everyone being a freaking jerk. And just racist overall. I needed her to balance everything out. And I think that's why this movie overall just like explodes my cockles. And rewatchable. Yeah, I think this is definitely rewatchable. I think I will rewatch it a lot. I will say, I think because now it's not a first time watch anymore, I maybe will be one of the sleepers. Like I will sleep at some point during the movie, but I'll wake up for the very important parts. So I'm gonna say, yeah, 1. It's a cozy one for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel that it's possibly because of the entire set of the compound looking almost exactly the same? Because sometimes I feel like when I'm doing a lot of scenes where we're just like concrete walls and like rock, where I'm like zoning out a little bit, where I'm like, where am I in this? Is this
the setting is a little like bleak and not as exciting?
Yeah,
I think.
and there's some monologues. It's way I know all of them are like character development. For some reason, this one seems more dialogue heavy to me.
Yeah.
I do think that the set of like being in that underground lair, we could have changed things up a bit. Near the end of the movie, we do that a little more, where we start to see Sarah's lab and some of the other lab spaces.
Yeah.
That I think that we could have just done that throughout the movie instead of being in these like huge open caverns
with like fluorescent lighting.
Yes.
And just us talking to each other.
Fantastic. Awesome. So the club as well, we didn't get that many thoughts on it. Our Rickles popped in and said, I'll do this tomorrow. I need time to gather thoughts. And then tomorrow came and went without much. He said, it's my favorite Romero movie. I think it's number 2 or 3 of my top 5 zombie list as well. But
all right.
Thank you for that.
Great.
And Scotty, our wholesome boy from Fun with Horror, gave it a 5 out of 5. That's all he said. So
nice.
Thanks, bud. That's what we got from there. And with our scores averaged together, that gives us a 4.7. So that sits it right above Dawn of the Dead, which was a 4.6. What's up?
I'm gonna go ahead and kick up my score now. It just 4.25 doesn't. It feels slightly too low, so I'm gonna change to a 4.75 now to give it the 4.5. I don't know what that does to the overall score.
That makes it a 4.8. So that sits it just that much higher in the likes of Predator, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Slither, Rec 3, and Terrified as well. So that's perfect.
Rec 3.
That's good. That's really good.
And this concludes tonight's meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club.
Woo!
Remember to join the Discord where the conversation continues with fellow club members, past guests, and of course ourselves as well. Follow Chuddle the Sam on Letterboxd to heed his cinematic insights. I'm over there as well at Chuddle the Brian with a Y. At Ross Purvis on Instagram to behold his artwork, and that's all his tattooing stuff. Get over there, buy his stuff, get tattooed by him. Don't forget about the many ways as well to reach out to us. And we can't forget our franchisee favorites, the Horror Bandwagon.
Woo!
Cody, Sergio, thank you so much. We're halfway through this one here.
Damn,
we're halfway.
It's so funny. I
Yeah.
thought about that when I was watching this. I was like, oh my God, there's 3 more of these. I was like, I don't even like think of those when I think of the Romero zombie movies. You know what I mean? So
I'm really
it'll be
interested
interesting.
because I kind of feel like we've already gotten very far into the zombie apocalypse. So I don't know how we continue to evolve this unless there's like pockets of humans that we just don't know about in this universe. Like this seems very much like this team was our last shot and it's kind of done now, but
and they're all by the other ones are Romero's too, right? So it's still his vision. Okay, interesting.
We're only doing the Romero ones.
It gets fun.
There's obviously the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, but there's the Tom Savini did a Night of the Living Dead remake as well.
Speaking of Day of the Dead, there were
there's
like
a Day
2
of the Dead
other
remake
Day of the
and a
Dead.
Day of the Dead TV series that happened.
What?
Yeah,
Based off the remake movie, right?
Something like that.
Interested. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's out
seen
there.
that, I don't think. Maybe
But-
I did.
Thank you guys for letting us on.
Of course, you're always welcome, especially for the franchise stuff. And go ahead, look for the links below to get at anything that they got going on out there. We got the hookup for that. You know how to find them, the Horror Bandwagon. Don't forget about all the other ways, like I said, to reach out to us, rate and review us, spread the word, and until next time, avoid the time loop.